The most important thing going on in the country right now that's right in front of your screens, it's Stony Brook versus RIT, the two undefeated teams left in this conference. And Dylan, we've been hyping it up, 8-0 for both of these teams, both with a challenger player on their lineups. For one side, it's their jungler. For the other side, it is their support player. And we're already into draft, ready to get into action. Dylan, how are you feeling on this wonderful Tuesday night?
I'm feeling absolutely amazing. I can't believe that we're electing our first seed to the playoffs. I mean, I'm surprised that we see a Rumble in the top lane coming out. Not a pick we've seen from Aeroliners this season.
He's the Aatrox guy. I mean, he's the Aatrox. Where'd it go? It's a Rumble now for some reason. Switching between a Darkin to a Yordle, not exactly the same vibe.
Yeah, I mean, they picked Gnar, so I guess I see the vision. Rumble just smashes that Yordle into the ground. The Yordle in the mech does beat the Yordle with the boomerang.
Yeah.
And I guess it works better with the Skarner if you can get like a nice little 5-man impale into a Rumble ult. Like,
yeah, I mean,
a lot of
obviously well, I mean, you can't really call Gnar a melee champion truly because he does have switch between those forms. But realistically, when you're talking about the team fights, you're going to be in Mega Gnar, and obviously Skarner playing into melee champions is very good for him because it's the difference between that 1-man to max 5-man impale now that is just such a team fight changer.
And we also see the Xin Zhao coming out from RIT. Skarner, a great champion into the Xin Zhao, into the Kai'Sa, both champions that are shorter range and need to be able to go in. So Skarner being able to say, no, you're stuck with me.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to worry about. We see that Stony Brook's going a little safer. They're picking the Corki, the Jhin, longer range 80 carries who need more time to come online and play from a distance, which works great into the Xin Zhao.
You know, a lot of setup for the Jhin as well. I mean, when you talk about the Rumble ult, the equalizer, you know, you really want to get people standing in it for a little bit. That Jhin Deadly Flourish from long range can be the exact setup that you're looking for. And Dylan, I just want to throw your attention to the fact that this Rumble has been set up perfectly for this game because you think about the Rumble, obviously you want to get the Leandries and you're going to be opting into all AP items, but specifically you don't want a lot of other AP sources on your team, and well, Stony Brook did that. And then, you know, you get into the argument of, oh, well, if you don't draft any other AP, then you're solely reliant on that Rumble doing the AP damage. Well, I'll counter with Corki does a lot of true damage. So you still have a good damage profile coming out from the mid-80 carry combination between the Corki Jhin.
And also, Corki Jhin in general also just do a lot of physical damage. The Xin Zhao, the Gnar, the Nautilus are going to have a hard time getting those 3 items coming in. Gnar does need the Sunderer or the Trinity into the Sterax. Like, it needs time before you can start building those armor or magic resistance items. So it's entirely reliant on the Nautilus being the main tank for a long time until the Gnar and the Xin Zhao settle into their more utility off-tank bruiser builds.
Yeah.
Which means that Nautilus kind of has to decide on the 2 items that you typically get as a support. Okay, do I want armor? Do I want magic resistance? There are support items that offer both, but it might not be enough to deal with the Rumble and the Corki damage. So I'm gulping a little bit if I'm RIT right now. A lot of damage coming out.
Specifically, if you think about so the Kai'Sa, it's a bit different of a story as the Syndra because you have, you know, the rush that can get you out of places because obviously by the rush I mean the addition to the movement speed. I don't know why I fumbled right there, as well as the invisibility once you get the upgrade on the E. But Syndra has nothing besides her summoner spells in terms of escape. And when you have, 1, the Impale from Skarner, 2, the Solar Flare from Leona, 3, the Deadly Flourish, which all can lock you up inside of an Equalizer from Rumble, your day is going to be really hard if you miss position at all in these team fights.
And Kai'Sa being short range does have, we're probably opting into the cleanse for the Leona and the Skarner, but Kai'Sa's going to have a hard time poking through with the Void Seekers. Skarner and Leona just take too much damage, or can take so much damage, that this Kai'Sa's going to have a hard time being able to do damage to the Corki, to the Jhin. Both champions comfortable playing from the longer range, playing the poke game, and Rumble's not often going to be taking the beat or the brunt because the Equalizer comes out from such a long distance.
Yeah.
Especially with all this setup from the Leona and from the Skarner.
You know, and if we can talk for a second more about the idea that the best player on this team for RIT is their jungler. And being stuck on a Xin Zhao, I say stuck for a reason. because it's really not the highest impact jungler. Of course, you can get those level 3 ganks coming through, and that's good and all, but you don't have late game team fight prowess. You know, you don't have that ability to fully 1v9 games.
I will say Xin Zhao is a great setup champion for the Nautilus, for the Kai'Sa, just following up, being able to make these bot lane plays against the Jhin and the Leona, who more often than not will have the shove in this lane. And Xin Zhao just being able to hover and say, okay, I'm fine with giving up camps for 30, 40 seconds to make sure that my bot lane can base properly. And just to ward off the Skarner a little bit, Skarner is a champion who needs a little bit more time clearing camps to get those early items compared to the Xin Zhao, who's comfortable dropping camps and dominating the map, which will get them so much, especially with the Syndra able to roam and go down to the bot side of the map.
Yeah. And with that, Dylan, not a lot of time before we get into game one. Again, between RIT, Stony Brook, the two undefeated teams in this conference. I got to get your game one prediction. Normally, I don't ask you because it generally is a 2-0 in favor of Stony Brook, but I have to ask you for this game.
I will say, for at least for the first game, I think Stony Brook's going to pull this one out. I think their comp is a lot easier to execute. It's very simple. It's Leona going in, Skarner going in, Rumble falling up on top of that. Jhin being able to set up the Curtain's Call from such a large distance, being able to dodge most of the enemy team's damage output. I think Stony Brook has a lot more consistent teamfight potential compared to RIT, who needs a lot more time setting up, getting those picks before objectives. And Stony Brook, we know they're not a team who falls behind too often. And when they do fall behind, they're very good at playing around each other. So I think RIT does have a lot to work on if they want to go into this game one with a win.
Yeah. And getting into the more specifics about the history of these two teams, at least in this season, for Stony Brook and for RIT, they've obviously played every other team so far, as we are in our final match of the regular season. That being said, we can compare their schedules and how they fared up in all of them. For Stony Brook, it was either a 2-0 victory or a forfeit from the other team. For RIT, not as clean. You got to mention, not as clean, because they did get the forfeit against Tiffin University Dragons, and then it was three consecutive 2-0s, but then their series went to 3 games twice, once against EMU and the other time against DePaul. So obviously those are two teams that Stony Brook were able to 2-0, fairly clean 2-0 as well. So there are some discrepancies in terms of the schedule strength coming into this game. Because of that, I am once again going to favor Stony Brook, and I think ultimately until a team can prove that they can beat them, I'm just going to keep going with the Seawolves because none of their games have been close so far.
And we've seen from Stony Brook on multiple occasions they've been able to play through their top lane, they've been able to play through their bot lane, they've been even able to play through mid lane. They have so much firepower in that lineup that even on like utility champions, we've seen them pull it again time and time again. They're always able to find a way out. Even if they start falling behind a few thousand gold early, they don't have that deficit for very long. They're able to basically pull wins out of a magic hat and just turn a team fight at an objective around. And I'd be worried if I was Rochester right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And specifically, Dylan, I want to talk a little bit about the man in the mid lane, Tempest. Normally, we've seen him on mages. You know, that's really what he's been playing. I think of him for the Nico. I think of him for the Aurora. There was a couple of nice games he had on Auroras. We are into a game here on the screen. And obviously 2 minutes and 30 in, not really anything too big happening just yet. A little bit of a CS leads for the mid lane as well as the bottom lane, but that should start to even up as the waves start to crash. But back to that mid lane champion pool for Tempest. It's a little bit of a different look. Corki is an 80 carry by trade, whether you play him in the mid lane or the bot lane.
And Corki has such a good matchup into Syndra. Corki's able to just constantly get those auto attacks with his E in and just do so much damage early on. With the fleet footwork, being able to tank some of that Syndra poke early on. Syndra, a champion who needs time to get levels, to get stacks for the cooldown reduction. Corki able to basically get whatever he wants in this lane for around 2 items before Syndra starts being able to one-shot him.
Yeah. But you also had to mention, if Corki plays it well, he can also one-shot the Syndra, because obviously it's so much damage coming forward with the Phosphorus Bomb as well as the spray from your E and, you know, obviously anything else that Stony Brook can throw in there to help them out. Step aside, just looking to farm up these caster minions in the bot lane, and Aeroliner's already forcing a recall from Gas in the top lane, so that's a small win for him. Actually, Gas does cancel at the last second, looking to stick around a little bit longer. Ketong stepping forward, and Aeroliners is going in on the top lane. Gas might have wanted to recall right away, because right now it's the Rumble chasing down this Gnar. Both of them flash forward, and the first blood is going to go over to Aeroliners. Such a coin flip champion, such a coin flip player, I should say, and he comes off on top this time.
I was just about to say, we've seen him kind of fall behind in these early skirmishes in the past few weeks, so it's nice to see him on a strong champion like the Rumble, who's able to really get his way with the Gnar. Gnar kind of opting for the grasp before scaling with the Resolve Runes. Might be a little too greedy, over trading with the Rumble. Losing out early on. Rumble, we see a champion who normally takes Ignite, but especially in a competitive setting, the teleport is so much more valuable to be able to get to those dragon fights early on, being able to TP to a tower after 10 minutes and basically say, I'm here, my equalizer's coming out, and you're going to have to deal with all that damage.
Yeah, and obviously that forces Maxander to go to the top side and try to respond to help his top laner out just a little bit, even if it is just for that lane presence.
And you see Corki teleporting back to the mid lane with the Null Magic Mantle and the Tear. A lot of damage coming out in the bot lane, though. Stepping up. Exhaust coming out from the Nautilus.
Jhin has to reload on those auto attacks, but there is enough CC coming out for Keetong. It is a 2v2 kill. They continue to go forward here onto the Kai'Sa. Deadly Flourish lives up to its name, and we have a trade back in the top side, so it is 2-for-1 across the map. But Step Aside and Keetong showing why they're one of the best bot lanes Collegiate Esports has to offer.
Yeah, the Jhin Leona super strong early on. People think of Jhin as like this utility champion with his traps, with the curtain call from long distance, but Jin's laning early on, especially with a 4th shot. He has so much AD this early into the game that they just didn't respect. Kai'Sa overstepped a little bit, getting caught by the Leona and paying the price.
Absolutely.
Both summoners coming out, Flash and Cleanse.
Now, Dylan, I want to jog your memory. You know, back when Kai'Sa was first released, Kai'Sa Nautilus was a premier bot lane. I mean, from the very early stages of the game to the very late, not so much the case anymore. Kai'Sa is a very weak early game champion.
I wouldn't say she's that weak as of right now. I mean, obviously I can think of stronger champions early on, but Kai'Sa being able to proc the passive bullets, it's a lot more damage than you'd expect.
And again, that's why the Nautilus was such a good pairing with her, because it's the Q, obviously you get the CC from that, and then every auto attack that Nautilus takes, albeit on a cooldown, is a root. So, you know, that's instantly 2 procs right there, and then the W coming out. The Void Seeker for Kai'Sa is, you know, 2 more, and then it's just an auto attack away from the burst damage.
Yeah, and we've seen Kai'Sa also with so much flexibility in her builds as well, being able to opt for Blade of the Rune King Rageblade Tank Shred build, or if you want to opt for Nashers and some Magic Pen with the Rageblade, you can go more AP Void Seeker focused build with the early W evolve, and Kai'Sa's just never left the pro scene. Rides tried their best. This Kai'Sa's unkillable.
Maxander, you got to mention that he was the man in the top lane that made that play possible. Gas obviously getting that much-needed kill backwards, so already flexing his impact on the map.
Yeah, and we can see right now he's going for that bot lane. He's going bot side for the dragon right now. Kai'Sa Nautilus walking up effortlessly. Stony Brook retaliating, getting the Void Grubs on the top side. They could look for a top dive eventually. The Rumble can force his way under the Nar's tower. Nar's already pretty chunked with no Mega up just yet. That could be a power play in the next 2 minutes. And Hextech Dragon gone down. Bot lane seems to be pretty stable right now. Corki and Syndra both farming it out. Nothing crazy. Just ping-ponging the waves back to each other. If you play mid lane, you're no stranger to that. There's no such thing as wave control here.
Dylan, I want to get your opinion on this real quick. Obviously, I think I know your answer before I ask the question, but who do you think wins in a late game scenario between these 2 compositions?
I think it really depends on who's able to get that first engage off. If the Skarner and the Leona can get in super early, catch someone off guard, then I think Stony Brook wins it by a landslide. But on the other side of the coin, you could say that if Rochester is able to go in early on with the Xin Zhao Nautilus, get a lucky pick, they can easily swing a fight.
Oh, Impale coming out, and the Equalizer's going to follow it up. Doesn't land onto Gas cleanly. He's getting close to that Mega Gnar, but it's burned down before he gets the opportunity. And it saw an angle, and he sprung on it right away.
And yeah, that's the Rumble Skarner plays we were talking about, ult into ult, and there's not much you can do if you're Gnar. Gnar is just too squishy, being forced to buy the Mercury's Treads for the Leona, the Skarner, and the Rumble. He's going to be delayed on damage, which is not what you want to see from the top lane, but you got to do what you got to do to win.
That is very true, and Stony Brook out to a 4-1 kill lead with 2 kills on this all-important Rumble for Aeroliners. A strong game so far. Haven't seen any of those mistakes in the one-on-one. And hey, I might honestly chalk that up to the fact that Aeroliners is like, I need to play a little bit, I need to screw my head on a little bit more in order to play in this game, because you don't want to give a millimeter to these guys, because you never know. The other 8-0 team in the conference, you never know.
Yeah. And this Rumble, a champion who's able to make plays on the map super early on, all he needs is level 6 and a Haunting Guise, and the ult will do so much damage. eventually when he gets those Sorcerer Shoes as well, the Magic Pen coming out from the Harpoons, especially if they're empowered
Yep.
with the passive and with the ultimate, there's going to be so much magic damage coming out that no amount of magic resistance this early on is going to save you from a burning fate.
And as if you can even afford to build magic resistance with the 280 carries coming out on the other side of the map. Specifically one in the Jhin that is, like you can see, already building lethality.
Yeah, and Jhin with a Collector is just going to be so strong. We know that Jhin gets a lot of attack damage from his passive and from movement speed, so just being able to do as much damage as possible early on with relatively cheap items, it's basically Jin's dream scenario.
Ketong going forward in the bot lane. I was going to say, he's pathing over there now, but Ketong jumped the gun a little bit. But in all fairness, this Kai'Sa is in a little bit of danger anyways. I mean, Jhin with the curtain call opening up doesn't really have a good angle, and now Init is finally towards the bot lane. Dredgeline will instantly come out onto him, but it looks like Nautilus is the target as the Impale goes down onto him, and Step Aside has an easy cleanup kill. For a while, I didn't see the angle in the bot lane, but, I mean, in all fairness, the Nautilus isn't particularly tanky.
Yeah, I mean, the Nautilus Aftershock maybe thinking he's a little tankier than he was, sacrificing himself to keep his Kai'Sa alive, but now Kai'Sa being forced to take an unfortunate recall, and Syndra's being forced to cover the bot side of the map before he gets a free wave shoved in. We look top lane now, Rumble getting Nard into the wall. Mega Nard's
get
not
stunned,
too
so
long.
the Equalizer does come out. Gas is trading fairly well right now, and finally that Narbar fades out, but he's going to look to continue to go forward here with these extra auto attacks in the grass proc, but Aeroliners is in a good area with the energy resetting, or the overheat, I should say, not energy.
Yeah, I mean, Rumble once the Mega Gnar may be tankier, but taking a lot more damage, so once Rumble has to back off, respecting the fact that Gnar is transforming back into the mini form and can auto him to death with the grass, with the W% health damage. Just great awareness from Aeroliners on that trade, forcing out Gnar ult, which is very impactful. He won't be able to have it for probably another two transformations, which could mean the difference for a second Void Grub fight.
Absolutely. And right now, map state overwhelmingly in favor of Stony Brook, up 3K gold at 11 minutes. Step Aside is a lot of that lead, and the other lead is Aeroliner. So again, I have talked about the damage profile a lot. It's something that I always like to talk about. But Dylan, I mean, this is best case scenario, I feel, for Stony Brook.
Yeah, I mean, the Rumble being ahead, that's like your main damage early on in these teamfights with the Equalizer, with the built-in magic penetration into his kit. So being able to have his first item at 11 minutes and Sorc Shoes well on the way after the next recall, if I'm Stony Brook, I'm saying this is perfect. We have a fed Jhin for a lot of physical damage early on, fed Rumble, and great team fighting capabilities. It's going to take a lot of work from Rochester to try to slim this lead down and be able to start keeping the Kai'Sa alive and get the Syndra up and running.
So Stony Brook go up 6-0 in the Void Grubs, and it looks like they might look to contest this Dragon as well. Both top laners actually stand corrected. Aeroliner's the only one with teleport, so it could potentially be a 4-on-5 as we get the first engage down towards the bot lane. Ketong going forward, the Impale already used, and one kill found onto the Syndra. Nautilus put in a horrible position behind the enemy lines with the blast cone going over the wall, and Stony Brook is going to collect another one. Force shot missing, but Tempest is another carry that is there to clean it up. A couple of more auto attacks, and it's a quick 2-0 for Stony Brook.
And Gnar, recognizing that Gnar can't teleport to the bot side of the map, they take the easy 4-on-4, knowing that they have the Rumble teleport advantage. Rochester overstaying a little bit, having to sacrifice the Nautilus and the Syndra, but being able to contest dragons and secure the second dragon, tying it up 1-1, eliminating the soul condition from Rochester and stop them from getting that dragon soul early on. If you're falling behind, you say, okay, I want gold now. If I can't hit plates, what can I hit? I can't hit Void Grubs, I can't hit Rift Herald, really. The Rumble is just too strong, too impactful. Gnar being forced to buy the Mercury's Treads. So I'm looking towards dragons, and if I can't get these dragons, then what do I have?
You know, and additionally, the thing that I want to bring up is the fact that Tempest has already taken 3 plates in the mid lane. Obviously, that 6 grub lead is doing wonders for him, but, you know, despite not having a lot of impact in the one-on-one matchup, he's created a very big gold lead for himself, as Tempest is going to get ganked as well, unleash power onto him, but it barely tickled him at all. The Merc Treads doing so much work.
Although he's forced to flash the Xin Zhao engage, I mean, if I'm Tempest, Quirky's a safe champion to play. He can shove basically without issue, Skarner can always hover and be able to keep the Xin Zhao off of him, and they will win the 2v2 for the next few minutes. Now they're looking towards topside. They might be looking towards a top play. Gnar, Mega will be running out kind of soon. They could look for a topside play, invade Xin Zhao, push him out of the topside jungle, look to dive this Gnar while he's mini. He won't have enough time to get his ultimate up, but they're looking to play it safe, conservative, get that Rift Herald online, shove it down mid so Corki can lead lane and make an impact on both sides of the map, and just play around their vision, play towards these team fights. They know that they're up 4,000 or 5,000 gold. There's not much for them to do really after this Rift Herald, and they can just play the map correct. They can play the map safely and let this Skarner catch up, get his second item, get his boots online.
Yeah. Obviously, the magical boots coming in for free, so that's a free 300 gold. Always like the welfare from the League of Legends economy. Up 7-1 in kills, and talking about the economy, Stony Brook up 5,000 gold, just about, a little bit below that mark. Closer, actually, to 4,000. This is why I don't do math often.
And at least we can say that we have all the information and we can still be wrong. I mean,
hell yeah. Fight over towards the top side. Two players extremely low, and the equalizer was used as well as the Impale. Maxander had to respond with the Crescent Guard, and those are all the abilities used so far in it. Looks like a poke champion right now, just throwing out those rocks, but of course they're not really doing any damage. And everyone's just going to reset. Still with their lives as we get another engage towards the bot lane. Iwi sending that depth charge over onto step aside. Keetong just tanking everything up for now. He's so strong at this point in the game. But the flank from behind, Stony Brook is going to use a teleport to try to counter it. Tempest is there, and it's so much damage down onto the Nautilus. Curtain Call is out as well, trying to find the shots down range, but I don't think anything's going to come from it, as we're just back up top to Airliners continuing to farm these minions.
Yeah, once he gets his waves crash, he's definitely going to recall. This is probably the strongest point you'll see this Rumble getting his second item online, the Dark Seal purchased. This Rumble's equalizer is going to be doing so much damage, and there's not enough magic resist in the game for either the Gnar nor the Xin Zhao to really do anything about it. They're just going to have to take it with all the slows coming out. The Skarner rocks looking like Talia, basically, with the amount of rocks we've seen chucked on my screen.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan, you say not a lot of magic resist on your screen. I count 2 items, and they're both called Merc Shreds. And that's not going to help you at all against Tempest or Step Aside.
Yeah, I mean, one Harpoon basically shreds all the 25 magic resist that you get from the Mercury Shreds, and hitting a second one basically means you're at less magic resist than you were before. So is it really that useful? No,
I mean, obviously you can say for the tenacity, it's a little bit of a buff, but even still, you're just worried about the sheer damage that Stony Brook is going to be pumping out right now. Mid lane turret looks like it's going to be falling right now. Stony Brook already took the bot lane turret, so now they're up to a 2-0 lead, and I have a feeling top lane's going to be the next play. They do have Herald, I believe, still unused, and yeah, it is in its inventory right now, so they can honestly even look to use that to crack a tier 2.
And one thing I would like to point out is that Skarner is one of the few junglers in the game who can afford to build the Heartsteel because of the amount of times he's able to auto with his CC. His kit scales so well with the HP you gain from it that you can stack health and just be so tanky with your shields and your passive that it was just something interesting I would point out. Any other jungler, any other tank jungler has to either build like a locket if they want to have that early effective HP, but now we're going to have to look topside. A play being made onto the Rumble. The equalizer coming out, not enough.
Getting Nard back, and he's just going to die exactly like that. The Gnar was enough to just send him backwards a little bit into the waiting arms of Maxander, and yeah, that's a dead top laner. Only 2 deaths on the Seawolves belong to Airliners, but in all fairness, it's because he's been ganked the most.
Yeah, and if I'm Stony Brook right now and I'm able to get all this bot side vision, we can look. That side of the map is pretty blue, just like the electoral map right now, but looking at this Corki right now, just shoving the waves into Syndra, collecting the Groms. They're losing the top lane tower right now. Leona looking for a play. Skarner Jhin coming up from the bot side jungle. This Xin Zhao might get pincered, but Leona is setting her sights on the Gnar instead.
Doesn't see in it just yet. The top lane is going to get a teleport with Aeroliners. They're really looking to go all in on the play. Crescent Guard is already faded out, and now Gnar is going to be turned to next. Gas looks like he doesn't have much time left on Summoner's Rift before going into a black screen. 4th shot with the deadly flourish. That's going to miss. Aeroliners looking to chase him down. Flash away from Gas. He might be able to get out of this. Oh, no, Curtain Call. Curtain Call to finish it off, and Jhin will get another kill. Step Aside is 5-0-2. Action doesn't stop just yet as Iwi is forced to flash out, and so that's just another Summoner spell gone, and the Dragon more than likely in the arms of the Seawolves.
And that's basically that's what you see when you have a team like Stony Brook with a lead. There's just so much happening on the map at any point. You can play through the Rumble in the top, so you can play through the Jhin. We can see that they have 3 carries completely online. Corki almost at that man immune. Not a Muramana just yet. The tier's still at 327 stacks. Securing this dragon, almost a 10,000 gold lead at 19 minutes. That's a Stony Brook special.
It is, absolutely. And again, they're looking so clean in this game so far. I wonder if we will see them go for a 20-minute Baron like they so often do when they have leads like this. I mean, again, with the Corki and the Jhin and the Rumble, you're going to be able to burn that Baron down pretty quickly. And like I said, they are going for a tier 2 turret with this Herald.
And the Rumble Equalizer coming online soon. The Leona ultimate already up, especially with Flash Keaton known for these aggressive plays. Rumble looking for the 1v1 in the top left.
Airliner throws out that Equalizer, looking to burn down this Gnar, but he's so damn tanky already. Gnar in the one-on-one is going to win that matchup, but Airliner's, you know, after that death, he just has to tell himself, team fights, that's where I'm most valuable.
Yeah, Rumble so good at showing out the side lanes and teleporting onto an objective fight, getting that Equalizer on multiple people. I wouldn't say it's a waste the way he used it trying to fight this Gnar, but it's really not the optimal way to play this. If you want to be as clean as possible, if you want to be clinical, if you want to be a little surgeon about it, you save your TP, you just shove out top lanes, and you teleport to your deep vision in the bot side. We can see with all the far sites, not being able to teleport to them, just teleport to the wave, and get a nice Equalizer angle, set up your team for success.
Absolutely. 10-3 in kills now at this point, Dylan. That is the update that I have for you, as well as a what are we calling it this time? 7,000 gold lead, just about, just a couple hundred gold underneath that, and Stony Brook, they're gonna start setting up for the Baron.
Yeah, all this top side vision coming out.
Oh, gotta hold that. Tempest is gonna get stunned. Sorry, excuse me. Maxander going forward, and the shutdown is going to belong to the Syndra, and that's exactly what they needed, a pick in the top lane.
Yeah, and this is just the importance of playing around what you have. If you're RIT right now and you see that you have a Xin Zhao, you have a Syndra, you want to play for these picks and catching people in the side lane, which these champions so often are doing. They're 3 squishies who need to occupy 3 lanes. Just being able to make a play on the side lane, overpower with numbers, and just look to get as much gold on your Syndra as possible. Your best chance at assassinating one of these carries with a nice pick at a Baron fight, stopping Stony Brook's 20-minute Baron in its tracks.
Yeah, and because of that, they're going to have to reset a little bit. It's not going to dissuade them completely, but at least for, obviously, the death timer and then whatever extra time it takes for them to reset, because you're not going to make any moves on the map with your mid laner dead.
Definitely not, especially when your mid laner is as fed as he is. The Muramana online, this Corki's going to be hitting like a truck. One might say an Uzi for an 80 carry.
Yeah.
But this Skarner looking for his bot side right now. They're going to contest that vision. Nautilus Xin Zhao just forced out of their bot side jungle. Gnar has to be very respectful of the fact that we saw the Leona in the bot side jungle right now. Rumble having his way with the wave.
And additionally, Dylan, I think Stony Brook honestly might be waiting for this 3rd item power spike for the Jhin, because he is fairly close with the components that he has in hand right now.
Yeah, we're very close to a rapid fire cannon and one nice 4th shot.
Hold that again
30%.
as it looked like another pick might be coming on to Tempest. He does Valkyrie away and flashes out. Going to dodge the stun coming in from Spad and get out of dodge, but that's a flash down from Corki, and the 2nd time Tempest has been exposed in that top lane assignment.
And that might just be a sign of Tempest not really respecting where the enemy champions could be, even with the commanding lead they have. One stun onto the Corki and he's instantly dead. No maul will save him if he ever builds that into the Syndra.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you have Maxander following it up and a little bit of physical damage. Airliners, again, looking to be abusing this one-on matchup, but he's turning it around this time. Doesn't want to overheat completely. Uses that last harpoon. It is going to miss, so Gas will get out for free, but doesn't matter because Init is there to clean up his top laner's mess. Throwing that rock out, it is going to miss, and Gas is just trying to run away as fast as he can. Not going to matter. Init has the auto attacks to finish it off, and that is a kill, but we have more action towards the mid lane. Step aside, stepping up into the Crescent Guard in order to get that damage down. He's going to be able to kill off Maxander and follow it up with another kill onto the Nautilus. 3 across the map for Stony Brook and almost a 4th as Kaisa is so damn low, and that looks like it's going to be a big purple worm in the sight of Stony Brook.
And that's the Stony Brook special. You make 2 great plays across the map. Use your numbers advantages very well. Skarner securing the kill on the bot side, still able to make his way towards mid lane to catch the purple worm. Rumble clearing out the bot side jungle. I mean, this is the Stony Brook wash basically for a game. 7,000 gold lead with the Baron, with the 6 Void Grubs. I'm expecting this to be an even greater lead, maybe even a 10,000, 15,000 lead before the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what the Baron power play is going to give you. And I said they might wait for this RFC spike from the Jhin. Well, he should be able to get it right now, and potentially even more than that. Is upgrading to a Zeal. Oh, was I wrong on my math? No, I was right. So Jin now up to 3 items. Corki isn't terribly far behind him with some components coming in for the IE, and once Corki gets that, I mean, it's just like he's going to be melting people's faces off, essentially.
I think he's already doing that right now. The Murmon is such a strong item, along with the Trinity. Even though he has the Merc Treads, I mean, you might think that's a defensive boot, but this Corki is going to be outputting so much damage, shredding through the Gnar, who can really only afford to build health items. As a bruiser, he still needs to be able to do damage. The most I can see him getting is like a Wit's End or like a Death's Dance event if you really want it for Corki Jin. That's just not a meaningful amount of resistances for someone as fed as this Corki is.
Absolutely. And you got to mention Stony Brook moving up to Soul Point with this next dragon, and I mean, not that exactly they're going to need to wait for that soul. It's just another win condition that they can put in the back of their pocket if need be. 46,000 to 37,000, the gold lead just ticking over to 38,000 for the RIT Tigers. And in it, lining up in the mid lane. Still a little bit of pushing to be done in the top lane in order to get that minion wave closer to that tier 2 tower. But Stony Brook is probably going to start knocking on the doors in this mid lane a little bit quicker than that.
And if I'm RIT right now, I'm trying to figure out how I can stop this mid lane push. 6 grubs on multiple people with the Baron is going to do so much damage. Skarner looking for the impale, solo open the Nautilus.
It's going to be diving tier 2 and tier 3 towers at this point. Curtain Call coming forward. Tempest is flying with that Valkyrie as well, looking to finish off whatever kills they can, but Bunnies is able to get enough distance between him and the rest of the team. But Stony Brook not going to be dissuaded, continuing to push in the top lane, and it's going to set up this play in the bot wave as well. Getting that Baron buff onto the minions and pushing towards that tier 3 as we might get engaged towards the mid lane as the flash was in from Gas, but both carries avoid that for the Seawolves, and they just turn it around and avoid any engage completely.
And Stony Brook just being able to get that 10,000 gold lead with no time at all, knocking on the doors to the Nexus right now, up 11 kills and 10,000 gold. Looking to get this bottom inhibitor and just deny any counterplay for RIT right now.
And they just ate that turret raw as well. No minions were required. Looking to follow it up with an inhibitor, and they will. Double inhib for the Seawolves at 26 minute. They're just a couple of moves, couple of pieces away from being able to take this game 1.
And for Stony Brook, you just have to play the game slow, be patient, be able to just one good team fight wins you the game immediately. You're coming up on the end of the Baron soon enough, but you have 2 inhibitors down. Kai'Sa's relegated to farming these bot waves coming through, not being able to come out for the next Baron fight, which will be in the next few minutes probably. And Rumble coming up on the 3rd item of Void Staff, presumably. I think that is. Needless and a little crystal. And Jin farming out this top wave. They're using that number advantage in the top side, forcing out the Syndra stun.
In it, once again, diving these towers. He does have the Impale up for his teammates to follow up on, but he doesn't have any carries anywhere close to him. But he's so damn tanky that he's just able to scuttle out of there. What do you call Skarner? Is it more of a crab? What animal is that based on?
He's a scorpion.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, that is true. I don't know why I even said crab. He's literally a scorpion.
I mean, they're related. You're not too far off.
No,
but
they're
both crustaceans.
Yeah, but I should have had that. That was a slam dunk. Stony Brook still going forward onto these tier 3 towers. Again, that 6 grub lead from earlier on in the game, it's so impactful even in these moments. As now they're on to the 3rd inhib, so super minions doubling up in all of the lanes, and they're flying forward onto Spad. He's going to be dropped for the next 45 seconds. The Stony Brook Seawolves are already hitting Nexus towers. Gnar goes in with a nice ultimate, but Gas too little too late. They're going to be following it up with these Nexus turrets as soon as they get the minion waves up and at them. And that's going to be it for this game, essentially, as I don't think 2 people are stopping the Seawolves at this point. I think Step Aside will be able to 1v2 by himself with the lead that he's built up. And they're just going to look to stat pad a little bit more, getting that damage done. Nexus is already exposed, and it looks like it's going to be a clean 28-minute victory here in Game 1.
It might be a little late for Stony Brook standards, but that was basically flawless 0-death game from Jin. All the plays on the map made from Rochester were basically aimed at this Rumble and at the Corki in the side lane, and they just couldn't really muster any winning chances. They just kind of got steamrolled.
And if you think that win was impressive in Game 1, you should stick around to see if the Seawolves can double it up and take this series 2-0. Once again, both teams undefeated coming into this matchup, so stick around during this break. And we're back with game two, already into draft. Once again, my name is Kevin Broderick, joined by Dylan Walsh. And Dylan, game one, bit of a wash. Back for game two, seeing if the Tigers can do any better.
Yeah, and looking at the bans, we see that the Viego and the Ashe are coming out for Stony Brook, and that's what you want to see. Their jungler's been playing a lot of Viego recently in solo queue. That's basically their one trick. The Ashe, a power pick for both teams, banning it on red side, a classic. Hui as well, just a strong flex in general from the mid and the bot lane.
Yep.
We see them coming out with the Singe, which I guess explains the gas name.
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe a little bit of an OTP.
Maybe. I'm surprised it came through. The Kindred coming out, that's an interesting pick, something we don't see often in competitive play, but with the Galio and the Singe, there's a lot of magic damage with CC set up as well. This could be a really good Kindred game.
Well, Dylan, I want to give you props because you were doing a little digging and you found that Maxander was actually a bit of a Kindred player. Not a ton of games, but a pretty decent win rate.
Yeah, for sure. And Kindred's a champion who, if you get the right situation, definitely is a great slam pick. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the draft brings for RIT. And being able to play those comfort champions, the Singe and the Kindred coming out, just a way to warm up, be able to bring this game to a potential 3-game series, which I've been excited to see all season. Give Stony Brook some real competition.
Yeah.
But Stony Brook pulling out the Skarner and the Azir on red side, those both champions that are very comfortable with scaling and playing for the late game.
And with the Yone as well, I mean, that's another late game scaling champion. And Kog'Maw just really ensures that any late game scenario Stony Brook should be able to win. You also got to talk about the combination of Azir and Skarner to be able to push and pull people out of that Kindred ultimate. And I feel like we're in a game from 2017 right now, the way that these drafts played out, considering there's so many late game scaling options on both sides. Sivir, Kog'Maw for one. Alistar doesn't scale too poorly himself, considering, you get that unbreakable will and the damage resistance that it provides. So really, both teams with good scaling compositions, but I have to tip my hat to the Seawolves because of that Janna Kog'Maw combination.
And I will say, I was just about to say that this was looking like Season 7 until I saw Sivir Alistar locked in. Sivir kind of feels like the odd one out here. A champion who really wants to play for 400 CS and 6 items, but playing with all this aggression from Singe Galio, who want to be these early game playmakers. I think Sivir might be left in the dust a little bit. There's a lot of dive on this comp, but it does enable the Kindred to really play the game, so it might just be a utility pick saying, okay, we have a backup AD damage source when needed. But the Sivir Alistar lane's pretty terrible into Kog'Maw Janna. There's a lot of poke coming out. Alistar has one of the worst level 1s in the game. Kog'Maw Janna have a very strong level 1. Janna kind of just shuts Alistar down. Alistar can't get his bread and butter combo off the headbutt into the pulverize.
Yeah.
But the Janna shuts that down with a single tornado. Give you a little wind.
Yeah. Wind to the face. And, other things to talk about. Yone, how do you like that matchup into the Singed, into Gas's Singed specifically?
I think it really depends on how good this Singed pick really is. We know it's a comfort champion, or at least we're assuming it's a comfort champion if we're seeing it being picked in a professional setting.
Yeah.
But Yone does have a lot of percent health shred with, especially once he gets that Blade of the Ruined King online. So it really is a matter of how much can this Singe get in the way of the Yone and the Skarner before Yone starts to shred through that health bar, making him pop his ultimate.
Now, it's natural to see these drafts and think of the late game and think about those different team fights that could come out, the angles that you can go for. But obviously, there's like 35 minutes of action before you get to the late game. And with that in mind, Stony Brook have a lot more playmaking, specifically within it. Back on the Skarner. And Maxander doesn't really have that playmaking with the Kindred. So my question to you is, do you think Stony Brook can just blow this game up in the early game with in it just being proactive across the map?
I think it definitely has the chance to if they're able to invade this Kindred, set it behind, keep it from getting stacks, and keeping this Galio from leaving lane. Azir shutting it down with the soldiers, being able to shove in those waves and just poke out the Galio, keeping him from roaming, forcing him to ult. Azir can potentially shuffle Galio out of his ult if he's fast enough. Otherwise, Azir can definitely match with a teleport into the Shurima shuffle. I would say that it looks pretty even in the top side in terms of playmaking. So it really comes down to how well they execute those skirmishes early on. Singed has potential to shut down a lot of Yone and Azir movement with his W and the flip into it. If you can get a nice root off for Kindred, getting those press the attack autos off Or I guess in this case it would be Lethal Tempo, maybe. I haven't seen many Kindreds in my games. So.
Well, Lethal Tempo also has the new rework, remember, so I don't exactly know how it would interact with some of these champions. I've played it a couple of times. The best way I can describe it is it feels like kind of a Runeant's Hurricane proc, but onto a single target, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
It is extra damage. It feels very nice, albeit I played it in ARAM, not in competitive, so that is something to keep in mind.
And it really just comes down to how well the Singed Galio Alistar roams potentially Sivir's great wave clear, how well they can play around top side. Both bot laners have basically accepted that they're going to be playing in the bot side. The Sivir and the Kog'Maw, Lethal Tempo just farming it out, farming out those 300, 400 CS, and then making plays around objectives later on. I will point out that the Singed did take Spellbook, which is a nice choice. I mean, Singed has a lot of potential. You can go Aftershock if you wanted to. Back in the day, you'd be able to go Predator Singed.
Yep.
Not much of a rune anymore.
No. Do you miss it? Do you miss the Predator Chemtech, the meta that you had between Udyr and what was some of the other ones? Hecarim was another popular one. Do you miss that?
Not really.
Good.
When Predator
Good. That's where I was going with that.
When Predator was around, I was a big fan of Predator Vigar mid. You just run around, go
Oh,
bot
that was
level 3,
toxic.
and I don't know, what can I say? I like my toxic mages.
That was like Rise, but like the tank build Rise. Do you remember
Yeah.
that one?
I mean, you basically do that now.
Yeah, I mean you can, but it's not as effective. One of my favorite things that is no longer in the game was double tier Ezreal, when you built Mermana as well as what's the other one? Why am I forgetting the name of it? It's Mermana, and then what's the magic one?
Archangels. I don't know why that took me
yeah.
so long. Like, I knew what you were talking about, lost it. But there was a little bit of a level 1 fight in the top side. Not too much really happening. Singed with the poison gas basically saying, no, you're not really walking through here. And you know the number 1 rule of League of Legends, don't chase Singed. And
no, don't do it.
They didn't. They let him go for free. Getting that vision on the blue buff. Yone hiding in the bush. Maybe making a level 1 play on the Singed. And mid lane, about what you'd expect. Azir poking out the Galio level 1, keeping him from doing anything too major.
Yep. And we're going to definitely have to track where these kindred marks come through, because realistically, Stony Brook should have these early advantages, and you can see exactly why. Step aside, stepping forward into this matchup and just getting some early harass down. Obviously, so much of Kog'Maw's play is around that W cooldown. Can you min-max that W cooldown and, obviously step up when it's active and, know when to fade away when it's on CD?
I will say, looking at the bot side of the map, we saw that the Outstars was getting chunked to oblivion. That level 1 really coming through. Aftershock might not be enough to save him in this lane. Keetong just amazing on using his spacing, recognizing that Jen has the large range to auto and W from with the Airy, with the Scorch, shutting things down. But looking topside right now, little level 2 action coming through.
Aeroliners, you're getting quite low here. Does have the shield, and the flash is going to go down to that last minion auto and the obviously damage over time of the poison, so he will fall for first blood. And once again, Stony Brook bot lane trying to step up and get that kill back onto Iwi. We saw a 2v2 kill coming forward for the bot lane earlier in the series, but Sivir stepping up a little bit further. Alistar going to have to flash away. His step aside Keetong used the heal. Usually the AD carry having it, but he opts for barrier this game instead. So very defensive summoner spells for that late game. Step aside, long range autos, finds another one onto the Sivir, and they're getting so low. Obviously, Bunnies also has that barrier coming up. Headbutt pull onto Keetong. He's ticking low with the Ignite and is going to fall. 2 kills across the map so far for the Tigers. They find it in top lane and bot lane.
I will say I'm surprised. You don't normally see Keetong making these kinds of mistakes, overstepping a little bit, not respecting the Alistar combo with the Ignite, even though he was only level 2. Having the Headwind, the Pulverize is more than enough base damage, along with the Sivir autos with Lethal Tempo, just shredding the Janna. But hold that thought, step aside, coming through, maybe
Needs
looking to
be
make a
respectful
plan
of the head pull. Comes out, but no follow-up damage from Sivir, who is so no way to throw out that boomerang. Keetong is making his way towards the bot side. Mark is on the bot lane, Scuttle Crab, and here comes in it for the gank. Does have flash up. The Sivir has both summoner spells, but I don't know if it's going to matter. Does flash out there, in it trying to follow it up. One more auto attack is required. Step aside's going to get stunned below the tower. Does find 1 kill, but will go down. And now Tempest is being harassed in the mid lane, and it's going to be 2 more kills for the Tigers. They're up 4-1. The question is, can Init secure this Scuttle Crab before Maxander comes down. The answer to that will be yes, as he goes up towards the top side and looks for the recall.
Yeah, and if you're Rochester right now, you're so happy that you're able to just shift the momentum. We can see that they're up almost 2,000 gold 5 minutes in. The Singe pick working out super well for them. That comfort pick, getting that level 2 kill on the Yone, just really changing the tides of this matchup, making Stony Brook respect them a little bit, saying, hey, like, I have a seat at the table too. Let me get my plate.
So 1K the gold lead for the Tigers, and Stony Brook are going to have to claw their way back from this. Obviously, they can rely on the late game, but who knows if they're going to be allowed to get there. Tempest stepping up a little bit. He shouldn't be in too much trouble. Will get knocked around, but obviously that Azir has so much mobility. Will take the full taunt as well. I don't think he has that Azir dash anymore, and he looks like he'll going to fall to a low play, but they don't get the last auto. Tempest just being allowed to walk out of there. It didn't even have that as flash for the play.
And getting tossed around, ping-ponged around the mid lane, just barely enough HP from the refillable potions to survive that play. Aerolina's looking to shove in this top lane wave and get a good reset finally, but Sin is just able to shut him down, really just deny him any playmaking potential. And looking at this bot side, you're really hoping that you can get this Kog'Maw online. The Blade of the Rune King will be coming out with the Vamp Scepter, which is basically all you can really ask of your late game scaling hyper carry into the Singed, into the Galio, both champions who build health items and not too many
with the level 6 proc before, but Gas was quick to follow it up with his own. Obviously, you know, that's Unsealed Fate is a big ultimate, big game changer for the Yone and the top side.
Yeah, and both top laners hitting level 6. I will say once Yone gets this first recall off, he might be stronger than the Singed in the 2v2 with the Skarner Impale coming online very shortly, but it really depends on this mid lane. Even though you see an Azir and you think, okay, nothing's happening, Azir really sets the tone of this lane. He decides where he wants to roam. He can stop Galio from roaming. Galio doesn't have teleport, Azir does.
Galio's going right now, and it looks like we might have a fight towards this top side of the map. The taunt is going to come instantly through onto Tempest. He's being blown up by 2 tanks, gets the dash out, but not going to matter, and Init might need to run for the hills at this point. Aeroliners goes unstoppable and goes back to his original body, and these two players just need to run away for the Seawolves. Flip back going to come through. Aeroliners chain CC, and he will go down. Galio up to 3-0 on the game.
As we mentioned before, it really comes down to how they execute these top lane fights. The Singe, the Galio have been playing these so well, timing their crowd control basically perfectly, setting up this Kindred for success. Even if Galio has all the kills, being able to get his first item online, Galio has a lot of base damage, especially in his W, which you might think that his Q is his main damage ability, but getting a fully charged taunt out onto 2 or 3 people is a lot of damage.
It's quite a bit, especially with the early magic, AP coming forward from the Galio. Of course, you see the haunting, no, not haunting, guys.
The Hextech Alternator?
Yeah, that's an old one. I miss, you know another thing that I miss, Dylan, as we continue to talk about things we miss?
Yeah.
I miss the Twin Shadows, the 2 little ghosts that used to come out of that item that would get the slow with the Glacial Augment.
I really might drop a controversial opinion. I was the biggest fan of using the GLP 800 with the Twin Shadows, with Orianna, with the Vargar.
Or just the GLP that's when like Silas was the best. I mean, Silas was just overtuned in his kit, but the GLP was such a good build path for him. Same thing with the Arias. We get a little bit more training in the top lane. Tempest, it's another visit gank to him. This time he's going to be able to avoid it, and that's the mobility of the Azir. Would have been surprised if Iwi looked to dash over the wall at that point, as he would have been more than likely dropped by the damage of Step Aside.
And all the chips are really in Kog'Maw's basket right now. He's up 20 CS, and that's really the only lead Stony Brook has right now, and that's the only thing keeping the deficit within 2,000 gold. I mean, they're down 5 kills, and they're down a grub. But
Aeroliners discovering gas and on a low HP, looks to trade forward for a second, didn't have the ultimate cooldown. Here comes the sting forward from Init. Looks like he's not going to be able to drop Alistar just yet. He's surviving on low HP, but the living artillery from Step Aside will seal the job, and he trades his jungler's life. But hey, gold onto the Kog'Maw, you'll take it any day of the week.
And one thing I would be concerned about if I was RIT right now is that all the gold right now is on the Galio and the Alistar. Galio is a champion who is very strong on the first item, don't get me wrong. But as we get later into the game, Galio's gold efficiency kind of drops off a cliff. He really doesn't do more damage than he will after 2 items, and he certainly doesn't get that much tankier. Forcing the Shuriman Shuffle with the Galio engage, that's a classic. Azir looking to shove this wave as much as possible But Galio's the wave clear machine. His passive forces a shove, but
Bunny's using the spell shield on the knock-up. Will be able to walk away because of that. Now speeding forward, using the thrill of the hunt, charging towards step aside. Instead, Keatong's going to be the target, but ultimately they're not going to be able to get anything out of it. And Dylan, a little bit of a skin review. How do you feel about the Sivir-versary for the 15th anniversary of League of Legends?
Sivir is certainly an interesting choice for this upcoming anniversary. I mean, Sivir is really a not too popular AD carry choice. I mean, Sivir is certainly an iconic champion in the sense that it is one of the traditional AD carries and a stable hyper carry in competitive play. But I don't think many people find her that entertaining. But I think the earlier 10th anniversary Annie made more sense.
I did really like that one. I think they did a very good job with that skin particularly.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically been my default now. It's such a cute skin.
Oh, yeah.
Colors.
I mean, I love the fact that I just get another free skin because I don't like spending money on skins. It's just a personal thing. What I love is seeing how many skins I can get for free. And I've gotten a good amount over the years.
I have a decent amount of free skins. I haven't put a single dollar into this game, believe it or not.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's why we're casters. We got that. We locked in, you know, the financials. We're locked in on that.
Yeah, I mean, some may say that League's a pay-to-win game with some skins, but I'm a free-to-lose guy.
I will lose for free if it comes down to that. Play coming towards the top side. In it goes into the wall for a second, but he's being collapsed on by all angles. Teleport coming in for Tempest. He's going to cut off Maxander for a second and charge towards this fight. Gas going to be the first one to fall as In it looks to continue to go forward onto this Alistar. Split fight on both sides. Now it's a 3-on-1. Maxander trying to do whatever he can, but he has to flash out and escape. In it falls forward with another flash, and Keatong using that movement speed shut down onto Galio in the other side of the fight. Maxander used the ultimate, but that's what I'm talking about. Drags him out for a second. Then Keatong sent him towards the tower. Stony Brook, a little bit of mismanagement with their ultimate, but Maxander, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Stony Brook are going to kill him off. 4-for-0 for the Seawolves. That's all you could have wanted out of that fight. Grubs are in their sights.
Stony Brook's looking a lot like T1 right now. You might have two losing lanes with a very strong, undying AD carry, but one good team fight around the top side of the map, and suddenly they're up 1,000 gold for free, basically. No casualties. Skarner picking up most of the gold there, but a Skarner with Heartsteel will be doing a lot of damage early on to this Kindred, to the Sivir, and we saw the power of the Azir ult being able to shuffle the Kindred out of the ult.
Going down in mid lane, and he'll fall one more time to Spad. Fight towards the top side as well, as Gas might not want anything to do with this. Airliners does get the shield out and has the press the attack proc at this point so low, and Gas looks like he's going to be able to seal this one quickly, but In it will come and cover his top laner. And it doesn't have enough HP to fight this realistically. Galio coming out, that's just really going to change things. In it now has to run away, but so much damage on that last auto attack, is able to trade his life at the least. And last thing of note, Dragon going down in the bot lane towards the Tigers.
This is probably the scariest Galio you will ever see. Storm Surge coming out. I'm more of a tank Galio guy. I don't know about you. If you ever play the champion?
No, I am too. I think tank on Galio just makes more sense. The AP build just falls off to me too much in the late game.
When I saw the alternator, I thought it was going to be a rocket belt into a Zanya's game from Galio, which that's just how I play Galio. That was my instinct, but I recognize that Galio does also have the full AP Storm Surge build, and that might be what you need if you want to snowball the game and end it as early as possible, knowing that the Kog'Maw, the Yone, and the Azir, all champs that want to scale, so putting all of your chips into the full AP Galio build just to shut down any counterplay from Stony Brook, I think it's a pretty smart decision. Not one I would make, but I can see the merit.
Yeah. As, you know, we were sucked in towards the top side of the map for a little bit. Now checking back in with our bot laners. CS lead has stabilized a little bit for the Tigers, but obviously Step Aside with those 2 kills is going to be feeling a little bit better. And a flash forward, nice flash respawn for Step Aside. Iwi's now in a bad spot as Step Aside going forward, has pressed the PTA at this point, but here comes Maxander. Keatong with a nice Monsoon will back them up for a second and has to flash out himself. So Stony Brook with 2 blown flashes, all for just the Alistars.
Yeah, and Alistar messing up the original combo definitely basically gave away the Kog'Maw kill, but getting the flash from a hyper carry is more than enough for an Alistar flash, especially when he has the Hex, flash. I mean, that's a trade I would take any day of the week.
I would agree with you on that. And before I was going to make that point, or before that play happened, I was going to make the point of Kog'Maw should be feeling fairly stable in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can really get on top of him. The only way Kog'Maw dies is a Singed Flank or Singed Flank into a Galio ult, but that really requires Janna to mess up as well. I think Kog'Maw's basically set up for success. can shred through the front line of the Tigers relatively easily. The Singe has a lot of built-in health on his ultimate. And Galio going full AP, no resistances, no Zanyas for now.
Ketong, you're dropping a little bit lower. Third auto coming in from Sibber, and the Winds of War to follow it up. That's going to be a dead support, and there's a reason that supports don't have a lot of health when you play Enchanters. It makes you easier to kill.
Yeah, and getting caught between two walls, Galio's basically funneled into the Winds as Galio just sealing the deal on that kill. Galio's most of the gold lead right now for Rochester is on this Galio. I mean, he's probably up, I want to say, 2,000 gold. Maybe once he bases, I'm sure he's sitting on close to a Zanya's by now.
Towards the top side, Aeroliners is mispositioned for it, and that's going to be a bad impale coming out for it, and it wasn't exactly close onto the Singed, who just kind of ran away.
Yeah, he dropped a little missing thing on the top side saying, hey, why'd this Skarner try impaling me? I mean, I'm nowhere near him. I'm a whole screen away. Maybe if the Yone ulted, I would understand. Being
TP into the bot lane. 2 TPs into the bot lane. Here comes Galio as well. Step aside in a really bad position. It looks like he's going to get dropped right away. Aeroliner's coming in with the ultimate, buying him a little bit of time, and Step aside does get some more auto attacks off with it. Everyone here on the bot lane. Aeroliners has to be the big carry right now. Will dash back to his body in a couple of seconds, and there he goes. Ketong still providing support. Tempest going down, and he will be killed. In it to follow it up, Maxander finally used the Ram's Respite, but it's a little too late for him as he will die anyways. Stony Brook with a nice route in the bot side, only losing 2 but getting 4 back.
Yeah, and this Yone really serving as the second carry to make up for the fact that Azir's died 4 times, but how much of it is really his fault? I mean, once his flash is blown, there's not much he can do into an Alistar engage. You basically have to play super safe.
Another clear up, an unofficial ace as Gas was there a little bit too long. I wasn't following his pathing, but I thought he was going to be able to get out there.
Yeah, I think maybe he just thought he could greed for the wave, but Aeroliner's over the wall, setting up a great play to punish the Sin, not even blowing his flash. And Skarner looking to make a play on the Galio, but the Galio taunt is just a little too menacing, not knowing what follow-up could be there. So, and it recognizing that, just retreats into the jungle, getting some vision, and looking to just clear some waves for a bit, look for the next objective.
You know, we give a fair amount of criticism to Aeroliners. Obviously, he dies in the top lane sometimes, as we actually have to hold that again, as there's endless action. Alistar isn't going to be too tanky for long with Step Aside activating that W, excuse me, and the retreat going to come through from Init. Maxander looking like he wants to follow up this play. Nice interrupt onto the taunt coming out from Galio, and here comes Maxander looking for the auto attack, then instantly backs up as Step Aside gets close to him. Aeroliners is there to follow it up, but again, I started talking about him, and that's because, you know, he has his deaths in the early game, and that's a fair criticism that you can have of any player, especially in a one-on-one matchup, but he really always comes through in the team fights.
Yeah, and he's always been able to play these, like, flanking, multiple CC champions, being able to play the Aatrox, the Yone, someone who simultaneously does a large amount of damage, but also locking down the enemy, which is super important when you're playing into champions like the Sivir, like the Kindred, being able to secure a kill where you might not expect, and allowing Ketong to play a more supportive Enchanter role with the Janna, which will be super valuable later on into the Galio and the Alistar, both champions who want to go in, telegraphed engages, quick NATO, no charge will dissipate any potential play from those two champions.
Absolutely, and the Herald coming out in the mid lane. It's Tempest riding in it right now, not going to go back into a good spot, taunted instantly. Monsoon comes through, but it's not going to do enough. Tempest a little bit over-aggressive on that Herald charge, and he's going to pay with his life. Aeroliners is towards this bot side, can look to engage here, is going to get headbutt pulled instantly into the wall. Galio calming out, it's into a little bit of a weird position, only lands onto Init, but he's in front of 5, stuns 3 instantly, here comes the follow-ups. Aeroliners with a huge ultimate, but Stony Brook not with a lot of damage at this point. Step Aside is trying to put shots down range, but he gets knocked into the entire team and will get dropped. Ketong not able to do enough to save his 80 carry from that position, and that's a nice fight for the Tigers to claw this game back in their advantage.
I think a lot of this game is coming down to maybe Stony Brook doesn't have a lot of experience playing into the Singe champion. I mean, Singe is such a rare champion to see in solo queue, a real champion specialist champion. Only one tricks really play him, so I could totally understand why that these team fights aren't going the way they should be. This Singe has been such a power pick in this game. Not something I would have expected to see in a competitive game, but it's really paying off. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would. I mean, obviously, like you said, a specialist champion. That's a great way to put it because, you know, it's one of those things where targeted CC, it has a limited impact if you put it into a rabbit hole. but if you know the exact time to use it and what specific scenario you should use it in, they always look like the most broken spells in the game, and that's exactly what Singe has.
Yeah, and Singe with the Ghost, with the movement speed on his passive, just being able to run at you and say, I'm flipping you like a burger, and it's going to be medium rare. Just so much power coming out from his CC, and he doesn't really die either. It's so hard to chase him, especially when he pops his ultimate. Just Grievous wounds on top of that.
Yep.
It's so hard to catch him once he gets that Rylai's online.
You know, and then the modified healing can come through depending on what build that you go for. Obviously, the Spirit Visage to then boost that healing up. There's so many different things that good Singe players know how to do in all these scenarios. And the other thing is when you start playing a champion for long enough, you start figuring out those little niche builds that really can make or break a game. When, you know, if you're playing a champion that's kind of just meta, kind of just playing it because it's strong, you may not really understand those things as much.
Yeah, and speaking of builds, I'm surprised that Galio opted for Shadow Flame second. I thought with the Rod and with the Amplifying Tone that it might be just a reverse build Zanya's. Normally you would opt for the Seeker's Arm Guard first for the passive, but if you have enough gold for a Needless, I'm taking that Rod any day of the week.
This is a lot of damage on the Tempest. He's going to miss his ultimate as well. Keetong is trying to come over. Does provide a little bit of an alleyway for his mid laner to get out of it, but Maxander is now putting Keetong in a bad position as well. Uses the Monsoon perfectly. That's what you expect from a challenger support. Getting himself out there at the least. Headbutt Pulve onto Init, now getting chased down by Maxander. Does have the Kraken Slayer, so can burn through this HP of the Skarner. Slow's coming out, and looks like he's going to be able to escape with his life.
And with the way the game has been going, you might think that RIT should have a bigger lead, but they're only up about 1,000 gold and a half. I mean, this is just Stony Brook coming.
Do we have a potential Baron play going down on the top side of the map? And they are hitting it. The Worm is going a little bit lower, but nice poke damage coming out from the Seawolves. Aeroliner's going for a 1v1 in the bot lane as well. Step Aside has to play so cautiously on these margins. Doesn't want to get engaged on, but also needs to be getting the damage off. Extended 1v1. Aeroliner's going down. He's getting burned by the Ignite, and he gets shut down. Like you said, it's a specialist champion, and he's pulling it off perfectly. Iwi going for the engage, and it is a low again. Maxander dashes over the wall, flashes away from the Impale, importantly. And now Tempest is back onto the map, so it's still a 5-on-4 as Aeroliners is dead, but Stony Brook do evade that Baron power play.
And Rochester recognizing that they have the advantage at the Baron, although it was dissuaded by the poke coming out from the Kog'Maw and the Janna, they really are pushing Stony Brook's buttons a little bit, really giving them a run for their money, which is what you want to see from a competent team such as Tigers.
Yeah.
Coming out with all these comfort picks, the Kindred, the Singe. The Sivir, I want to imagine, is a comfort pick. Sivir's not really a champion that...
Yeah, it's not particularly popular right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Or since Season 2, for the matter of fact.
Maybe older than that, honestly. Like, I don't know. Sivir always feels like a champion that you're like, oh, I guess I have to pick Sivir here. But I was skeptical of the Sivir pick at first, but it's kind of working out. Getting that 20 gold CS lead, coming back from that early deficit, up an item on the Kog'Maw, and just really playing the long range so well, not being caught out as much as the Kog'Maw.
Tempest is in a weird position right now. Almost was sandwiched by two players, but I guess that Azir turret is enough to make Maxander go back to base, and Stony Brook gonna pick up a tower in the mid lane.
And Stony Brook really trying to pull a win out of nowhere.
Hold up. Potentially action in the bot side as Gas gets slammed into a wall right away from Skarner, and it's going to start off the play, but the Galio coming forward. Aeroliner's looking to get as much damage down before he gets taunted by the Galio, and there it comes. Drag back from the Skarner, only going to land onto one, and the first kill is going to belong to the Tigers, instantly traded back by Stony Brook. Keetong is in such a weird position for a Janna to be in, and he will die because of it. The carries are not there right now for the Seawolves, and Keetong, or excuse me, Step Aside's going to get jumped on by Maxander as well. Might be a kill across the map as they just take forever killing in it. Step Aside wins the one-on-one, importantly, so jungler dead on both sides. I wonder if Step Aside and Tempest are going to be able to fight this. Step Aside right now going for the base, obviously too low to stay out there by himself, now running towards the Baron. Can use those Hex Gates to get there a little bit quicker, and Tempest is just on the outskirts, poking with his soldiers. Iwi going a little bit lower, and this Hextech Dragon is also doing damage to the other side, so because of it, the Tigers have to back up.
And slowly but surely, this Azir's pick is going to be coming alive. You see a 1 in 6 Azir, and you think, oh my god, this champion is not going to be doing any damage, but just the 2-item Azir is already shredding through this Alistar with a nice amount of magic resist on the Zeke's Herald. You can see that he was forced up by the Boots of Swiftness to deal with the Janna slows and the Skarner slows. There's just so many slows.
So Stony Brook show up fashionably late to that Baron, or excuse me, to Dragon play, and are able to slay it, now tying it at 2 apiece.
And they're both looking to make a play on this Baron. They're both trying to contest the vision. The Jen and the Azir can't really walk up by themselves, basically waiting for their Skarner to come back from the bot side of the map. But I will say the Marks, I wonder what the Mark situation is on this Kindred right now, because this Kindred could either be a machine shredding through your health bar with the long range and the crits coming out from the passive. But if there's not many stacks on this Kindred, then I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah.
Maxander just looking to clear some vision, look to invade the Skarner potentially on his red buff. Alistar and Galio aren't in prime position to deal with it. Keetong might not be enough coverage, but I don't think they're aware of the play that's about to be made. But Kindred backing off, just getting that vision around the Baron, but which could have spelled a bad fate for the Skarner if they recognized the positions of the Stony Brook Seawolves. But this Yone shoving out the bot wave, forcing Singe to match and potentially look for a play in the bush.
You know, obviously we've seen these 1v1s go the way of Gas so far. I don't know if Aeroliners is going to want to look for another one at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we can see he doesn't have much magic resistance right now. I'm thinking he's going to opt into a Wit's End at some point to help with the tenacity, to help with the magic damage coming out from the Galio and the Singe. The Kindred and Sivir aren't, while they do a lot of damage, they kind of are down an item on the Singe and the Galio respectively once the Galio gets this Zanya's online. So Yone's really going to be matching both top and mid laners, so magic resistance will be really important. The shield bow will be helpful in these team fights, especially with the Janna Monsoon increasing the healing. But Stony Brook has to play around these side lanes very effectively. You can see one catch onto Tempest or one catch on an Aeroliners, and that could be a Baron.
Yeah, very, very quickly. I will say that Stony Brook do have multiple carry threats in all of these fights, more so than the Sivir and the Kindred, because realistically Tempest, Step Aside, and Aeroliners can all do enough damage. And with Keetong there, the likelihood of Stony Brook getting one of them survive, I feel, is pretty good.
Yeah. I will say we shouldn't neglect the amount of damage that Singe can output in a fight as the fight gets longer with the Liandry's, with the gas,
That
with
is
his
true.
ultimate. That can be doing a lot more damage than expected. That is something you have to keep in mind, is this may be a tank, but it's a tank that's going to be doing a lot of damage.
Now, I will respond with that is how quickly does he start getting burned in these late game fights if that Impale comes into him? Is the Impale enough time for the combination of Tempest and Step Aside to just flat out 100-0?
I guess that depends on if Singe with Ghost up, once the Spellbook exhaust runs out, the
Another
Ghost will be
1v1 towards the top side. Tempest still just one shot by this Galio build. We had our questions about it, but it's being answered before our eyes.
Yeah, and that's just the power of recognizing that Azir is by himself on the top side of the map. They could look to make a Baron play, but Keetong and Init are doing a good job defending their top side jungle. The Kog'Maw ult's coming in, not enough damage by itself, but they're playing very defensively and it's working out pretty well. And they'll be able to dissuade RIT potentially long enough to stop them from doing the Baron. They seem to have their hesitations, slowly shredding the Baron, but
They do it
over the wall.
They do it very quickly because of the double 80 carry combination. Obviously, Singe not the best Baron taker, but it's still good enough. Stony Brook lining up right now. It is a temporary 5-on-4. Tempest up in 3 seconds. Will be able to get that TP down and join the fight instantly. Gas looks like where Stony Brook is going to start this playoff, running back towards his team. Gets a little bit of poke damage off from Step Aside, and now Init flashing right into the pit. He instantly gets headbutted out. The Rams are fight already down, so that's going to keep the Baron alive for a little bit longer. Here comes Aeroliners over the top. Baron will go over the Tigers, but we need to see where the fight goes. Tigers look like they're just fine with running away, and it looks like they're already out. Baron over to Rochester.
Stony Brook looking to get as much gold as possible. This Galio's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, able to back out with the empowered recall. RIT might have just pulled it out of their butts, basically.
They got the heist.
Play. They got the heist. Kog'Maw not able to get to the fight fast enough to really shred through them, but Galio forced to use both the flash and the ghost to get away.
So at this point, Sivir, 3-1-7 with 3 items, actually has more items than the Kog'Maw. Got to look towards the mid lane. 3 completed items for Galio. 1.5 for Stony Brook, as we might get another fight instantly. Headbutt pulled down onto Init. He's getting burned so quickly by these 80 carries. Gets that proc off, and Monsoon's going to help out a little bit, but Keetong's going to fall all alone to the Sivir. Damage being followed up. Stony Brook in a bad spot right now. Tempest is so low. Aeroliners needs to be the difference maker. Bunnies stepping up a little bit too far. Does get chunked lower, and it's going to be flipped back and instantly killed. Gas looking to follow this play up even more as Aeroliners is knocked up again, and he's dropped. 4 dead on the side of the Seawolves, and Rochester look like they have the winning combination.
And this is probably the longest game that the Seals have ever faced. This Kog'Maw and Sivir are really going to be the difference makers as we get into the 30-minute mark. There's a 5,000 gold lead for Rochester. They're looking to make a play on this mid inhibitor, potentially shove out this side lane with the Galio in the bot lane. Kindred soloing the Dragon, and
Gonna put them up to soul point, importantly. And I don't know how Step Aside does not have that third item in his inventory, as he's been sitting on those components for a while.
yeah, I mean, we can see that that's the real difference maker is that Kog'Maw is down about 50 CS right now, and that is a sizable gold amount, especially when they're behind on objectives.
Yep.
But once Kog'Maw gets this, I believe this is a rapid fire cannon, or it could be a
Should be.
Yuntan. But once he gets that online, he'll start shredding through the Singe and the Galio a lot more effectively, able to play outside their range much better, especially while Galio doesn't have either of his summons, which are super important for catching this Kog'Maw and dodging all of the Janna abilities.
Yeah. And one more thing I will mention about the late game is the fact that Ketong on the Janna is just going to scale better than the Alistar.
They both serve different purposes. I wouldn't try to pit them against each other necessarily. Janna does shut down the Alistar engage, but Alistar, if he can knock away the Yone, knock away the Skarner, or even knock the Azir Shuffle, one good pulverized headbutt combo, and that could be an easy pick onto the Seawolves by the Tigers. Galio looking to secure the Krugs, not able to do enough just yet. They're looking to contest this topside jungle, keep Kindred from getting marks. And Yone's stuck in the side lane against this Singe, which seems to be just doing so much damage. Finally getting an armor item, and just looking to keep this Yone away from the rest of the team. And Janna's shield might not be enough to
Knock
save
up
this
onto
tower.
Sivir, a lot of damage, but Tempest isn't able to finish off the kill. Just shows you what kind of damage can be done by this Azir despite being so far behind in items. And it looks like the Seawolves want to continue to chase the Impale just barely too far away from Spad, and won't be able to drag him back because of it. The Yone, importantly, also building towards that IE. That's going to be a big break point for him.
Yeah, Yone, champion, one of the Wind Brothers, needs a lot of crit. That's where the Crack and the Shield Bow and the Infinity Edge, importantly, will matter. We can see that there's not too much armor stacking occurring for the Tigers right now. I mean, the Zanyas and what's probably going to be a Frozen Heart coming out from this Alistar if there's enough time in the game, which I think there will be. But Singe, we can see, is really greeting out on the MR.
The Rune Ants in for Step Aside. That's the answer to the question about what he was going to be building.
I can never remember Runan's build path for some reason.
I think it's the same as RCF.
That makes sense.
Because they've changed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Play onto Gas in the bot side. He's going to be able to run away really quickly, and it also doesn't have the Impale. Kind of a floundering play coming out for the Seawolves. Didn't exactly have an angle, and it looks like Rochester is collapsing on top of them. Max Anders up towards this higher angle. Airliner's going to be engaged on first, and Max Anders is in a big flank right now, but he's not able to join the fight completely. Stony Brook in a temporary 4-on-2. Here comes the Galio Heroes entrance to try to knock up a few players. Airliners flashing out to get away from this damage, and Tempest is already dropped. This is going to be on to Step Aside at this point. He's over to the top side of the fight, and Rochester look like they're routing them once more. Runance into this choke point, might be able to do some damage, but he's grounded and being auto-attacked down by Max Ander. He flies forward for a double kill, and Rochester have gotten themselves a clean, not clean ace, actually 2 died, but nonetheless 5 dead.
And we can see the lack of magic resistance on Stony Brook's side really coming through. Azir just popped by the Galio like a balloon. The Yone going down to the Singed as well. I mean, if I'm Azir, I'm thinking, I need to build either an Abyssal or a Banshee's Veil. Just
Well, that's
something
if
to
he
help
gets
keep
the
me out.
opportunity to extend this game, because it's 13 seconds left on Tempest. It's the only thing that's defending the Nexus is these Nexus turrets, but they're falling, and the Seawolves will lose their first game of this season and be forced to a 3rd game. And Dylan, didn't think it was going to happen. I thought the Seawolves had it under wraps, but Rochester, they proved me wrong, and we're going to game number 3. First time that I get to say it. Game 3 in action and underway. Draft on our screens right now. Dylan, you had a couple of notes about what Stony Brook needs to do differently coming into this game. What are they?
I'm thinking the Singed is a problem pick, or at least they need to play around knowing that the Singed is banned, but the Singed first pick coming out, not banned, but they did ban the Galio. Silas coming out. Silas is a great pick in a Singed, especially you can flex a top and mid lane. We know that Tempest and Airlines have been capable of swapping from top to mid previously throughout the season. So seeing the Singed Kindred coming out, they probably have a better game plan going into it.
Zach, wow. That's an interesting pick coming out. Obviously, with Kindred, you know that Zach is going to be flexed somewhere else, probably mid lane, as Corky picked as well. So a little bit more comfort, something Tempest performed better on in the first game compared to the Azir.
What I'm thinking right now is I wonder what bot lane Stony Brook has in store to be able to shred through the Zac through the Singed. They need something with mobility, something that can dodge the Zac engage, something that can get away from a Singed kills. So I might be thinking along the lines, maybe, I don't think Kaisa necessarily, but maybe a Xayah would look pretty good here.
Seems you left your brave
I don't know
Yeah.
if he's proficient on
Want
it
me to wait while you
necessarily.
go
The
get
Xayah
them?
would be good because the amount of die that's already coming through, you get away for the Kindred for a couple of seconds as well. Varus is definitely a different flavor. Instead of a more mobile champion, more long range, a little bit of CC to add to the table. Ashe coming in for bunnies, and obviously that global playmaking is something that I think is very valuable at this level of play.
Especially, we see the Kindred and the Ashe, there's not a lot. The Kindred and the Ashe are mostly physical damage. Singed is underrated magic damage, as we saw last game. This Singed was kind of wiping the floor with his gas, and Zac too, especially if he opts for a Leandri's first item, which I have seen before from Zac players, so it wouldn't surprise me too much, especially since we've seen him go the AP Galio build. AP Zac is not too far away from that.
No, it's really not. So I would say the tankiness battle is being won by the Tigers right now, but on the other side, Stony Brook, as of, obvious trade-off, has more damage.
Yeah. The Silas is an interesting counterpick to the Singed, being able to steal the ultimate and stay locked onto him. We're going to be seeing a lot of topside skirmishing from the Silas and the Singed. Both champions are melee, both want to be in their face, both want to crowd control the other. Kindred and Skarner also champions who want to be up in your face early on, especially before Kindred gets stacks and gets the rapid fire cannon online. I think bot lane, although you see two engage supports, they kind of cancel each other out. Alistar can play pretty defensively, but the big question mark is, will the Zac be able to leave lane and be able to impact the other sides of the map?
Yeah, I mean, the pushing prowess coming out from Corki, I think, is going to shut down a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. But Zac is also a champion that is comfortable dropping waves to be able to get a dive out onto the Sylas or onto the Varus and the Nautilus if they're able to be shoved under by this Ashe pick. So it really is a wonder what flavor of Zac is he trying to play? Is he trying to stay in lane and just be set up for the Kindred, or is he going to be trying to drop waves and be able to help out the other sides of the map?
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention, Dylan, is Sylas has some nice ultimates to be able to steal. Obviously the Singed, obviously the Alistar are two S-tier ultimates for him to steal. The Ashe, I think, is an underrated one. The AP scaling that can come on the Ashe ult. I remember a specific play from Worlds where Caps was running down mid lane with Ashe and with Sylas and stole an Ashe arrow and literally one shot of Nidalee to the face. Obviously, then Zac is a pretty okay ultimate to steal. I mean, it's not going to be detrimental. And then the Kindred ultimate. I mean, that's a game-changing ultimate. To have not one but two be used in the same team fight is a little bit of a mind boggle to think about.
It's not as bad as the mind boggle of seeing two Mort ultimates coming out.
I love that. That's one of my favorite interactions in the game. I love that interaction.
Just being able to see two Mort fights going on at the same
Yeah,
time.
and
Not
especially
something
when
you
it
see
becomes
often.
a 2-on-2, and it's like the little overlapping Venn diagram, one of my favorite things.
It's like a little Nexus Blitz action.
Yeah,
going
it
on from
is.
those
It
duels.
is.
But
And then like one person gets pulled out of it before the other one, and it's like back to a
it just
one-on-one.
shrinks.
Yeah.
But going back to the game, I'm wondering how this. Obviously, we haven't seen Aeroliners on the Sylas top before. It is a counter pick that has been picked in the past, so it's not too unusual, especially with the game-breaking ults that we just talked about. But I really want to see how he performs because Sylas, as a champion, if you fall behind, you become so useless.
Yeah. You really do. And especially if you're just going to get flipped back into your team and get one shot, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what falling behind on Sylas will be in this game.
You will be falling behind and you'll be falling into the enemy.
Yeah. I mean, you'll get CC just endlessly. Obviously, I mean, there's a potential bounce castle coming out from the Tigers if they execute correctly.
Yeah, there's so much untenacityable, that's what I'll say, uncleansable crowd control coming out. The Alistar knock up the Zac, knock ups the Singed flip into the root. And along with the consistent damage coming out from this Kindred, which we saw do a lot more damage than expected, even though Kindred didn't have a lot of the kills last game, we saw Kindred just absolutely shredding through.
Yeah, playing the team
Stony
fights
Brook.
very efficiently as well. That's one thing that you got to mention.
For sure. And Kindred, a champion who is narrow in its niche. Kindred needs the right champions around it to be pulled off, and I think this is one of those games. Just a lot of setup, a lot of disengage, something to make space for the Kindred, allow Kindred to save the Lamb's respite until absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and also you got to mention no Galio ultimate to follow up on these Lamb respites because it's such a strong combination to be able to put down a circle of undying and potentially healing at the end, and then follow that up with a huge knock-up, that could go directly to the center.
One thing I do want to point out is that the Zac took Ignite instead of Teleport. Teleport's almost a must-take on most mid laners, especially in a competitive setting. So I'm interested to see where this Kindred is pathing. If Kindred's going to keep pathing towards the top side like we've seen previously, or if Kindred's going to start hovering around mid and just look for these odd Zac engages. Zac kind of reminds me of Echo in that way, where once Zac enters the bush, you really have to think about, am I going to be knocked up right now?
Yep.
Especially once the points come through. Zac lane typically maxes W, I believe.
For the wave clear.
Yeah, and not the E. So the E range will be kind of short. But
now, what they can do is they can invest a certain amount of points into E that gets you that ability to gank from the bushes and then opt the rest into the W. I mean, there are a few champions that can kind of split. There's not one clear path, but Zac is one of those champions.
So what I want to see is, will Tempest perform on the Corki? Will the Corki be sort of like a reset mental and say, okay,
I mean, it was
I'm going to take over this game?
Good performance in the first game.
Yeah. So is this a return to comfort, or does he see a vision with the Corki in this composition? I mean, this comp is a lot of question marks. What will the Sylas top do? What will the Corki do into the Zac, into the Singed? Corki, not the greatest mobility. The Valkyrie will be super important, and managing the low mobility that Stony Brook has will be super important.
It's one of those things where you don't necessarily know if Nautilus and Varus is going to be able to accurately play in this matchup against the other bot lane.
Yeah.
You know, last game it was a big detriment to Stony Brook to lose that 2v2 early because essentially Ketong and Step Aside never do that.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen them perform so strongly, especially when Ketong's on these sort of engaged champions that we're seeing the comfort come out from. We've seen him perform on Soraka and Karma in the past, but being able to put him on Nautilus and make plays around the map benefits Stony Brook a lot more this game, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a little bit of difficulties loading into the game right now. It looks like we're finally in. I jinxed it, but in a positive way. I take credit for that.
Yeah, all you.
All me. I increased the bandwidth somehow by just thinking about it.
You just like spread the...
Oh, and we're right into a pause, so that's probably what it was. It wasn't on our end. It's never our fault. Broadcast's perfect. Don't even complain about it. I think it was more than likely one of the players had a little bit of trouble loading into the game, so that is what the pause on screen is for. Now, I do know that one of our own Seawolf players is at home playing. One of the Stony Brook's players is at home off the PCs. So that might be a potential issue. Everyone else, I believe, is in the esports room, and obviously you never really know with Rochester. I mean, all of us are in New York, so everyone broadcasting, everyone playing the game are all in New York, so it shouldn't be terrible connection issues.
One thing to do point out, though, is that they mentioned in the chat that their mid laner had a nosebleed, the Zach. So, briefly.
That's I was out investigated on that one. I think Dylan cracked this case wide open.
Just call me Sherlock.
Yeah, you really should. Why am I the journalism major?
I don't know. I'm a professional. I'm leaving it to you. I'm letting you build that experience up. You got to have that veteran on the case
this
to really
true.
guide you on the way into the investigative world.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do a little bit of reading, and I failed the bar.
It's okay. I mean, there's always more chance. League players don't really know how to read anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dyslexic as well, so it's just kind of like I'm just at double disadvantage now.
Yeah, but one thing to consider going back to the game really quickly is I want to see what's happening in this bot lane. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of topside play because of the Sylas Singed volatility, which you wouldn't expect from a tank like Singed, but the base damage is so strong, and getting Kindred marks early is super important. So I want to see how Step Aside and Ketong perform in a potential 2v2 island, which is not often the case when you're playing as Stony Brook.
Yeah.
You see a lot of action in the bot side, but I think both junglers have reasons to want to play around the top side this game. So I want to see what they can do, what leads they can potentially get on their own in a kind of neutral poke lane with the Ashe and the bars, and Alistar and Nautilus kind of dissuading the other from trying to make any big trades.
Absolutely. And another point that I want to bring up, Dylan, is the fact that Galio went for a lot of magic damage last game.
Yeah.
And did a lot of magic damage last game.
So much magic damage.
Zach doesn't really have that same capability. Even if Zach gets ahead, you're not going to see the same item path being built. And because of that, maybe there's a little less threat of AP damage, with still keeping in mind, like you were saying, that Gas is going to be doing a lot on the Singed.
Yeah. So trading in that magic damage, but getting a lot more controlled CC with the Q, being able to connect to a minion or even a Q flash. I've seen from Zach players getting a nice E angle off into a well-timed ultimate, just absolutely spreading the fight apart. But as we're loading back into game right now, our questions will be answered shortly within the next 10 minutes. And I want to see what Stony Brook's going to be doing level 1 with the Sylas and the Nautilus. Both champions are pretty aggressive. They might look for a topside invade on the Kindred just to get vision at least on the bare minimum. Yep.
And we are officially into game. Nosebleed over, so we don't have to think about that anymore in it. Just throwing some rockouts again. Maxander might get caught out for a second. Aeroliners, not sure what ability he leveled up. Obviously, if it's the E, it's the double dash with the stun, so that can be an effective gap closer. And Step Aside, just chilling, just in the bush, doing what he does. Two bow champions up against each other.
Which bow do you think is stronger coming out? You have the Freljord bow, or do you have the...
The Darkened bow, I think, is supposed to be stronger lore-wise because they're supposed to be Varus literally infused into the bow. And if you know anything about the Darkened, they're like corrupted ascended beings.
Yeah.
So I think that probably beats out the ice magic of Ashe. And yes, I do know League of Legends lore. That is one thing that I can provide to this broadcast.
And that is why I have you on broadcast.
Exactly. It's the creative writing minor in me, and as a little dash forward from Aeroliners, the trades with the auto attacks, and good to see Aeroliners still confident. I would say that much.
Yeah, that's what you want to see from a top laner, especially in a difficult game as the last one. Leone falling behind and not really being able to pick himself up, but being able to recognize that he's still the stronger level 1 and be able to play more confidently into the Singed, especially in an important game 3. Super valuable, super good mental.
Yep.
That's what you want to see from your team.
And now we were talking about last game, the interrupts possible for Keetong with the Janna. That this time still has those interrupts possible with the Nautilus if you time it well.
Yeah, a good Nautilus hook or a Nautilus ultimate. You've seen an ult flash come out from a Nautilus before, just ult and knock into 3 people, setting up a potentially crazy play. And this Sylas already a big CS lead, crashing that wave. We'll see how much Singe is able to pick up under tower. I'm expecting he'll catch all of it because his name is Gas. He's a Singe specialist. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, he really should. If this is his comfort pit, that's what he should be doing. Trades in the bot lane for a little bit. Keetong loses a little chunk of HP, but that's it. And looking at the summoner spells for the bot lane, it's vastly different. Barrier coming out for the Ashe, Exhaust for the Alistar, Ignite for the Nautilus, and Cleanse for the Varus. So no heals on either side. Obviously, the barrier acts like that for Bunnies. It's going to be a force flash from Step Aside. Do not want to get comboed right there. Keetong getting a shield with the auto attack, and there's going to be a quick gate coming out from Maxander. He's going low, but not down. Here comes Init. First blood over to the Tigers already, and Stony Brook trying to extend this play. Iwi is a little bit low, but I don't know if Stony Brook have the damage to finish this off. Now Bunnies is stepping forward with the PTA activated, getting those Ashe arrows into the side of Step Aside, and it doesn't look like he'll have enough damage. Flash forward in it, going low and down. 2 coming out for, or excuse me, 1 for Bunnies, 1 for Maxander, but 2 coming out for Rochester.
And that kind of starts spelling disaster for Stony Brook already. Losing the bot lane 2v2 and losing wave control. Varus Nautilus already down a good 300, 400 gold as is. We'll see how much of this minion wave they're able to pick up. But the Ashe with red buff is so strong, the slows are just going to be so annoying to deal with. And as we look top lane briefly, you see what the Sylas Singe is up to. Getting the flip under tower rooted. This could be a kill on Aeroliners.
Going low, has the second dash, goes back in, gets the Conquer activated as well. A little bit more damage will seal it, but Gas has just barely enough to live. Keetong now going in the bot lane. He's going down. Looks like might be another death in the 2v2 as he has no one there to help him out. Bunnies will find another one. 2-0-1 at 410. The Seawolves are digging themselves into a hole.
Although both deaths are on Nautilus, I mean, a champion that in competitive is known for dying a lot, but getting those kills on an Ashe early will be so important for setting up these bot lane fights and enabling this Kindred with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and with the Hawk shots. I mean, this Ashe is going to start taking over the map very soon. We're going to be seeing a lot of ultimates flying out towards the mid lane or even the top lane, and Aeroliners and Tempest really have to pay attention to where they're standing and where this Ashe could be firing from at any given point.
Yep. We get closer to the point where Maxander will be getting these stacks, gets a nice grub away. Maxander, I'm saying that because it's going to be accelerated. I believe he's already up to 2 in the game with the Scuttle Crab as well as the gank in the bot side.
And Kindred known for, once Kindred gets 3 and 4 marks online, Kindred starts becoming what people call a real champion, but Kindred's strong at basically all points of the game with the right setup around her. And with the Zac and the Singe, this Kindred is basically saying, you're not going to kill me, I will kill you first. This Lamb's Respite will be super impactful, and we'll have to see what the Sylas is going to do to match it. If Sylas is going to be taking the Singe ult to get a ton of Grievous Wounds and resistances, or if he's going to be taking the Alistar ult to potentially gain a ton of damage resistance.
Tempest ignited, going down. 1 more auto attack will feel it. Spad not going to dive the turret. Could have done that, and he had a little bit of support around him. First Dragon should go over to the Tigers as Maxander is there for it right now.
And we can recognizing that Zac has the potential to E and even further. Corki having to back under the tower, but trying to collect as many minions as possible. Up a few CS, Zac with the Bomby Cinder already. This isn't going to be a Leandri's build in this game, I think. I think he's going to go straight into the, what's it called? Magic Resistance Sunfire. It's
I have no idea. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
It'll be the other one.
The other one. The other one that does the same thing but magic resistance.
I think it's Hollow Radiance, I think it's called, or something.
You could tell me anything and I could agree with you and just pretend like we know what we're talking about 100% of the time, or I could
which we do talk about 100% of the time.
Yeah, I'm
correct.
always right.
We've predicted this series very accurately.
That's why I know that the nosebleed was a nosebleed before I knew it was a nosebleed. Aeroliners, a lot of damage coming out. can potentially activate the ultimate, but not going to.
And this Sylas is already looking pretty strong, getting a nice 10 to 15 CS lead.
Yeah, much better game from Aeroliners.
Going kind of low on mana, we can see Kindred and Alistar both looking to cover off this Sylas. He must recognize that his team is in base and recalling setup for these objectives. He might be overstaying it just a little bit. Sin's already looking to make a play. The W
Gets the
coming out.
grounded. He's so low already. Gas now has to run away for the rest of this play. Aeroliners just needs to beeline it towards the tower. Here comes Max Anderson. Wolf forward, flashes back in, gets the kill on the first time. Max Ander now trying to turn it around. Flash forward from Alistar should be enough to seal it, and it will be. But Aeroliners with the aggressiveness.
I don't know how I feel about the play. I respect that he flashed in for the kill, but being able to give yet another kill over to the Kindred could be really impactful in this next
Play on the top side. Pings are going down all over the place. Keaton, everyone will avoid the Ash arrow, so that's big already. Alistar getting taken out a little bit. Valkyrie interrupted. Now Tempest in a bad spot. Alistar going low, but not going to go down, and Max Ander is on to another kill. Traded out by Init, but this just has to be a retreat for the Seawolves as they have no more damage left. Init fighting one-on-one at Gas, but he's down a level. Not really much he can do there. Aeroliners coming back in, gets the passive away from Zach, but realistically, can you finish it off? AoE from the Seawolves, and Keatong will seal it. Init flying forward, looking for Max Ander. That's 150 gold shutdown if they can get it, but there's going to be enough separation for Max Ander back towards his tower.
Both Sin and Kindred lucky to be alive, although Kindred has a lot of health on the table right now, but getting caught by one hook with no flash pre-6 Kindred, that Kindred is melting on the spit.
Yeah. So Kindred yet to reset, so we don't know what the items are going to look like. Stony Brook still with a high emphasis on the grubs going for it. Kindred with another stack, Dylan. I think that's up to 3 so far this game.
It could even be 4. I don't know if Kindred had enough time to mark the Sylas before
I don't
he
think
died.
so, because you would see that in the animation.
That is true. But Tempest using the Valkyrie, narrowly avoiding the Zac engage. A nice big wave for him to collect up 20 CS already. Once this Trinity Force comes online into the Muramana, I think this Quirk is going to be doing a lot of damage. It'll be very difficult to lock him down, but that really depends on how this Nautilus and the Sylas work together to keep the Quirky alive, especially as Sylas pivots into more of an disengage role later in the game.
Yep. And we've yet to see a big play from Aeroliners with that Alistar ultimate, the Unbreakable Will. I mean, realistically, when I first thought about that interaction, have to hold that. Aeroliners getting the Lamb's Respite. He's going to have to use it at some point to try to extend his life. Finally goes and puts it down, waiting for that W to come back off cooldown, but it's not going to come up soon enough. Dashing away, gets a little bit of separation from Max Ander. Has Init coming in through the wall as well. Could turn around with that W, gets the heal up a little bit, but that's going to be all. Max Ander will chase him down with the arrows, and that's going to be another kill. Step aside, getting stunned up in the bot lane, uses the cleanse right away. Now Init is going to get a 2-man impale. Can the damage come down through? Tempest not going to be able to get it off, and that's just going to be the end of the play. Everyone living besides Aeroliners.
And a very well-timed Lamb's Respite from Max Anders, saving the fight, keeping both the Zac and the Kindred alive, allowing them to escape. Tempest recognized that he can't stay for too long. The HP that they gain would be too much for him to shred through, especially with only one item and no boots online. And this bot lane already down 15 CS, Ashe up 2 kills, and I don't know if the Varus can hold on much longer. Once Ashe gets that first item online, any enchanted crystal arrow with no cleanse, and that Varus is popped.
Yeah. It's looking a little rough right now for the Seawolves. Max Ander is off to a just sweltering start.
Yeah, 4 kills, red hot Kindred coming through. Kraken Slayer already online, magical boots coming in 10 minutes in, almost done with the jungle item, maybe probably 6 more camps, and upgraded smite is online. Looking mid lane, Zac getting farmed for first strike gold, 40 CS lead nearly once Corki gets the rest of the wave pushing into him, and they're going to start looking for this dragon coming through.
This might be a late game Corki required for Tempest in order to carry this one, and he's already getting accelerated there, like you said, because of the first strike gold, should just be able to freely farm it as much as possible.
And Corki, a champion who likes being greedy and sitting in lane for a bit until the 2 items now that the package has been removed. So Corki being able to spend more time in lane and keeping Zac from making any plays, the better. But everyone's playing around this bot side right now. Keatong potentially looking for a nice hook into a Skarner Impale. Tempest hovering right behind them. They're looking to make a play on this dragon. Max Ander right over the wall. Zac over the wall. Both out of vision. Not sure where anyone is. Alistar's crossing into Stony Brook vision. This Varus could be a little out of position if Ash gets a nice Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but
Maxander
nothing's
might
happening.
look to use the Blast Cone. Instead, we'll just walk around. Now everyone grouping up towards his bot side for the towers. Fight's going to start off with the Nautilus hook, and here comes Fad over the top. He's going to instantly dash out, and Stony Brook is getting a decent amount of damage down already. It looks like a rout as Iwi has already fallen, and his team's just going to leave him to die. Zach, the last one to go, as Step Aside will chase down that kill. The bouncy man is on the wrong side of the map. He can continue to run if he wants, and realistically, Tempest should be able to clean up this kill in just a couple of seconds. Zach over towards the mid. Tempest still chasing him down. Should take a tower shot. That's one. Tempest waiting for the Valkyrie. Gas is trying to link up with his teammate, and he's going to get out. That's terrible for Stony Brook's economy, but hey, they still get the dragon in one kill.
And if I'm Stony Brook right now, I'm thinking, how can I use the Silas advantage? How can I use the Corki advantage to make up for the deficit in the bot lane? I wouldn't say that Bars is too far behind, but it will take a while for the Blade of the Rune King to come online. Void Grub's play activated.
Airliners gets the stun, chain CC, and that's a shutdown for the Seawolves. In it, claims the gold. Not the best place to have it, but they'll still take it.
They'll take. I'm Stony Brook. I'm taking any kill I can get. Silas Rocket Belt already online. Corki able to make up for no kills with the first strike gold, especially later on. In it, being big and greedy, trying to clear all three Void Grubs at the same time. I don't blame him. Those rocks are pretty big. Aeroliners forcing the Singe under tower. Could have looked for a dive play potentially with the Skarner, possibly waiting for the Skarner to get back off the Void Grubs, but Singe is able to get a nice piece off. Alien could be a bit caught, flashes the Nautilus hook, Heatong, putting him in his place. Not securing the kill, but that's more than enough. Hawkeye spotting Bars coming back to lane. Business as usual for Stony Brook, looking to stabilize.
Tempest again going low, the Ignite coming down from Nautilus, but the separation is there with the Valkyrie, and he's just playing on the thinnest of margins, but has gotten away with his life the majority of the time.
No mana, no health, no flash, but teleports online. Zach collecting this plate with an oncoming wave. Corki's going to be forced to TP. Skarner's going to have to hover in case Zach can look for a dive. They're spotted, though, on the Raptors. This could be a play. We'll have to see what happens. Skarner goes in on the Zach, pushes him away.
And it can get bursted down really quickly by Maxander, but instead it's just going to be a 2-on-1 in the mid lane. They already proc the Zach passive, but Brand's Sprite going to come in to extend this 2v2 for a little bit longer. Gas coming down from the top side of the map, and a bouncy castle goes into Tempest. Enchanted Crystal Arrow from across the map is going to stun up the jungler and allow them to chase down another kill. 2-for-0 in the mid lane.
And Stony Brook kind of not collapsing necessarily, but not recognizing the power of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, securing 2 kills in the mid lane. A lot of fleets down in mid. Rift Herald is on the map. They're going to look to make a play. Silas trying to keep Singed away from the Herald, not being able to protect that mid tower necessarily. I don't know if it'll drop just yet. Plates did just go down, but Silas looking to catch that wave in the mid lane. Tower goes down. Kindred gets it. This Kindred is looking so strong. Might be more wolf than lamb at this point.
Yeah, Aeroliners coming in. Could look for a 1v1, but it's quickly going to become a 1-on-2. Aeroliners doesn't seem to mind right now as he's continuing to go forward. Flash! W onto the Zach, looking for the follow-up. Kindred's out of mana, and Aeroliners looking for a 2v1 double kill. Aeroliners coming through and showing them who's boss.
7 stacks on the Dark Seal, super important. Sin just crashing that wave, getting a nice base off, but Silas will be fast enough to catch most of that wave, I believe. Corki pick up the remnants of what was left behind by the Silas. Looking to make a play on this tower, especially with the 6 Void Grubs. We could see a mid tower go down if no one else covers it besides the Alistar.
Mid lane taking a little bit more damage from Tempest. He'll get temporarily knocked up. He continues to just chip it ever so slightly lower. And again, I feel like this is the the third time Stony Brook has gotten 6 grub. Flash from Bunnies, getting chased out a little bit further. No impale out from in it. Actually, I lied to you. He does have it, and that will be a shutdown onto the Ashe.
And getting this gold on the Vars is so important. Once they're already going to look to make a play on this bot tower, using their advantage up 4v3. Zach going in, catching in it potentially, but there's a game pause.
No more talking for you, Dylan. There's a pause. Maybe another nosebleed. We don't know. More updates in just a couple of seconds. I'm joking. We don't have updates. We don't get information like that.
I'll give you an update, though.
What's the update?
Mid monitor went down. A little freeze coming out from Zach.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Again with the reading. You stop that. I like speculation more.
I will say it is interesting that Zach did opt for the Leandries in the end, being a second source of magic damage.
I don't know about that. Back into action, and Init is going to be thrown into it again, looking to chain the CC onto the Zach. Instead, it goes out onto the Kindred. Tempest figures out Spad and puts him into the dirt, and it's 8 to 9 kills. Stony Brook on top by 1, and up 3K in gold.
And Corki up 40 CS already with a top of first strike gold. We'll just have to see how rich this Corki can get. One might call him the top 1% on the Summoner's Rift right now with the amount of gold he's going to collect on this next base.
Yeah, pretty much. Temporary pause coming in on the monitor. I think we're okay now. As Airliner's going forward with that Noxian, what is it, the Toxin, Noxian something? Does pop it right now. I know it gives you move speed. He's chaining together these abilities so well. Airliner's looking for a one-on-one kill. Gets rooted underneath the tower for a second and grounded a little bit longer. The Ignite is doing some work. Misses that second stun. And now Singe is just going to run around and not going to die.
And that's just the power of the Singe Specialist coming through. His Ghost coming back online from the spell book. But just being able to know his limits and recognize that Kindred's around him. It takes just a little too much damage from the Sylas to be able to kill the Singe, but Singe with the Rylai's just securing his survival and put Crash the wave, get a nice recall off, which is the best you could ask for on a play like that.
Keaton just lumbering around in this mid lane, looking to throw out hooks wherever he can get it. The Herald is being taken down by Rochester, and they will claim it, so a potential tower with that item, now technically an item, a ward if you want to say it, a trinket, another name for what I'm trying to describe. Ash Arrow going to miss. Dylan, there's an upcoming dragon fight. I can sense it.
And they're looking to make a play mid. Zach hovering just over the wall. A lot of high density region, high traffic region. Skarner going in for the stun on the Alistar. Alistar already at half HP, forcing the Singe through. This could be really important.
Big ultimate right there coming out from Init, and that's going to do it for the entire fight. Followed up with the ultimate from Varus, and that's going to be it. Stony Brook wiping them off Summoner's Rift 5-0, and it was over really before I could make one call.
And the Sylas pick is looking so powerful right now. The Rocket Belt 10 stacks on the Dark Seal, 5 kills, up 10 CS on the Singe. Looking for more, looking to crack this mid tower open. Corki and Varus with 6 grubs. This could be the end of this mid tower. I think they can kill it before the minion wave's even down, and even then Varus could still tank with the Void Grubs. So much damage coming out onto this tower, looking to get a nice reset. Sylas pushing in the top wave, bot wave pushed in by the Nautilus. Not something you see often from a support. Good awareness by Keaton, looking to get this Skarner a free dragon. Nautilus going back to the top side, get vision on the red buff, which has the Kindred mark on it right now. Top tower could be going down. Sylas has so many auto resets with his passive. And Keaton just keeping sure that top side.
Can someone go help Init kill these objectives, please? I mean, it takes him so long on this Skarner, and they always do this to him.
Locked in tank supportive utility jungler jail.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, just a little bit of help would be appreciated. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Corki does have the Trinity, so there's a pretty good reason for Corki to base. Varus coming up on the second item, Rage Blade soon enough. This Varus is going to be doing so much damage to this Singe, especially if he can land a good root onto him, especially with the Nautilus lockdown. This Stony Brook roster is coming alive. 5,000 gold lead, especially coming off of a disastrous game too. It's great to see them on fire, basically. This Sylas is looking demonic on the Rift.
Yeah. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will hit, and the root is going to go on to Tempest. Looking like he's just going to fall down on this 2-in-1. They use their abilities perfectly. Now Stony Brook looking for a trade back. Maxander just barely gets away from the Impale, but he can't say the same thing about Spad. He will be put into blobs. Stony Brook will finish him off. Kill goes exactly where it should be, and Step Aside gets himself a second.
And it's great to see that the CC was timed just right. Keaton, great awareness, saving his root auto for when the Zac tries to E out. If that went off, this Zac is pretty squishy, so canceling the root so important. And it drive-by in the top lane, making sure his team can base safely. Singed, Alistar, Ashe all coming to collect this wave. Singed probably collecting most of it. Nautilus potentially flipped right into
Gets put back into the team. Slowed down by the Ashe, but Stony Brook are going to look to turn this one around. TP already coming out. It's going to come from Tempest. The Corki is there with the Phosphorus Bomb to finish off the job onto the cow. He's looking more like a little bit chopped meat through the grinder.
And the Corki, so strong. Trinity, Muramana, Spike. This is one strong fighter pilot right now. Zac a little greedy with the Leandries. You can see that he's 1 and 5 down 60 CS right now. It's going to be hard for him to farm these waves. He can't match Corki. He dies to Silas basically instantly, who already has 2 items. And Zach is looking to finish a Sunfire, which I don't know if he'll have much time to do at the pace of this game. Gas looking to get some vision, try to get those plants. Keaton keeping him off of it, saying, no, those are my plants, actually.
Keaton looking to engage, gets it onto Gas. Is there any follow-up, CC? I don't think the Chains of Corruption are in range. Arrow coming out, looking like it's going to split the uprights right there, and Gas does get away with his speed. And because of that, Init actually falling down. I didn't see that he got engaged on Cow. Getting engaged on back. Lamb's Respite to go down. And Stony Brook looks like they're going to disengage. At least they have to. Step aside, not far away enough. And the purple flying man comes in for another kill. Shut down. And Baron should fall the way of the Tigers. They just blew this game wide open.
And this making this a very competitive game 3. Pulling 2 picks out of basically nowhere. Looking to contest his Baron. Keaton trying to fight off the Zach.
Aeroliners doesn't want to give it away. He's going to come in, can steal that ultimate onto the Alistar and become a big threat. And the Baron has done so much damage that the Tigers just have to back up. 21 minutes is a little bit too early for them right now.
They're not Stony Brook. They can't pull off the 20-minute Baron.
I wouldn't go that far. They almost did it.
But they didn't.
But they didn't. That is true.
Coulda, you woulda, but you didn't.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Aeroliners looking to catch this top wave. Zach not really able to get much CS, up 10 CS over the past 5 minutes. Making sure to keep an eye on those Krugs. Kindred could look for an invade, but Skarner in the top side getting so much important river vision. Basically letting his teammates know that they're safe with him.
Yeah.
Singe collecting those bot waves, just a nice little gas. We can really see the power of the Rylai's, just keeping the minions away from him. Minimizing minion damage. That's real optimization.
The Rylai's on Singe just feels like unfair. It's also like the new Aurelion Soul. It's so much slowing, and Gas is just going to barely avoid the drift from Init, but isn't going to get away from the hook. The Impale coming through as well, and Step Aside has the damage to finish him off. 40-second death timer. We're getting a little bit longer into the game. Flash forward. Bunny's in trouble. Airliners comes forward and is going to absolutely one-shot the Ashe. That's 2 kills down and potentially a 3rd over to Step Aside. Instead, it's Init who will claim it, and that looks like a dead Baron on my screen.
We said that last time. We'll see if they can pull it off this time, but Stony Brook has been a lot more confident. They have a lot more damage during this Baron. They have the Rune King, Rageblade, Varus online with the Blight stacks, and Keaton just keeping an eye on the Kindred, on the Zac. They're going to look to try to take that mid-tier 2. Corki coming with the Phosphorus Bombs, looking to wave clear mid. Keaton could be routing, helping him out, keeping Zac off the tower. They're both pinging on their way. Zac getting out just in the nick of time. Silas going over the wall, making sure no funny business is occurring. Zac's going to look to secure the dragon spawning with Singe and Alistar running bot. We'll
but
see
Stony Brook actually not regrouping in base. They're going to go straight towards the dragon. So you got to mention a little bit of unspent money, but the ultimates are almost there for the Seawolves. Impale still critically down. Chains of Corruption almost back up.
Silas ultimate's up though.
Silas ultimate is up, and that can be a huge one. And the Tigers not even going to contest. They give away Soul Point on this Baron power play, and they're not in a good position anymore. 6K gold down, and Stony Brook is just going to continue to balloon that at 23 minutes.
Kindred was looking to make a play on the Krugs, but Keaton was ready to match, and Kindred backing off just enough to get the blue buff on Vision, doesn't know it. Alistar and Ashe trying to sit in a bush, look for a play. Maybe Nautilus probably won't die. They can't defend. Keaton will defend that pink. They're not looking to push too much right now. Rochester recognizing that they're behind 5,000 and 2 dragons. Some chump change, but this Corki's going to be coming online. Lots of damage to worry about. Silas looking for the Zanyas will be unkillable. Medjai's bot, big and greedy.
Yeah, Medjai's Soul Stealer, 10 stacks on it as well. Aeroliners is just going balls to the wall on this game, and he's realistically carried his team kicking and screaming through it. Obviously, it was a bad start to the early game from Step Aside and Keaton, but Aeroliners made up for that.
Airliners really coming through, showing us the Airliners that we saw early on in the season, able to just absolutely dominate lane.
Engage being lined up by the Tigers. Aeroliners is going to step forward onto Gas. Bad going forward, TP down from Tempest. He's joining it late. Aeroliners takes the Unbreakable Will and is taking up so much damage because of it. Gets stunned anyways, but he will not die. And it's still going forward, has the Stinger ready to go, whiffs on it. So Stony Brook's just going to take the 1 kill and back up. Maxander over the wall, getting a lot of damage into in it. Airliner's going forward and will drop him into blobs. Stony Brook will finish that off, and they get another kill this time onto the mid laner. Hook coming out, that's going to line down to Gas, and Airliners is going in. Bunnies now is going to be dead. Airliners going golden, and Stony Brook have 4 dead in the base at 25 minutes. It's just Maxander, the challenger player, left up for the Tigers.
What an absolute disaster. Keatong low on mana right now, looking to get that mid wave under. Stony Brook not pushing too hard, not trying to give up the lead that they've finally pulled out from underneath RIT. Not going for the mid inhibitor, just taking the base. It's been a while since the base. Corki coming back with a full item. Rapid fire cannon online. Silas will have Zanya soon enough on the next base. Varus looking for his 3rd item. Nautilus looking for his 2nd. Skarner looking for a 3rd. Asterix Gauge super important. Lots of effective HP, lots of shielding, especially from his W. There's a lot of tankiness that RIT have to shred through, and they just don't have the champions to do it just yet. Kindred getting the Black Leaf Roach will help out Ashe a lot, who's now going to go into the Mortal Reminder. Looking to make play on the bot side. Quirky looking to shove out bot. They're going to look to make some mid lane, get some mid lane waves under towers, pressure that tower. Ashe is really the only wave clear aside from Singe, but Singe is locked in purgatory defending against the Quirky shield.
Arrow out onto Tempest. It will land on him. The Singe is there to follow it up. Can Tempest survive through this early part of the play? It looks like the answer will be yes. Gas is getting pinched on by both sides, but he will be able to make it out. Maxander just barely avoiding that impale from Init. Now Stony Brook with a lot of blown cooldowns, but Maxander gets engaged on, blown up right away. Airliners into the back line as he has the land respite to live for a little bit longer. It's a double kill over to the Corki. Airliners not timing the turret shot correctly and will fall because of it. Big shutdown, and he loses out on some of those stacks, but his team is up in the push.
Getting that bot lane tower will be super important. They can convert this bot lane inhibitor, which will surely fall down into a mid lane. The mid lane is pushing in, top lane's pushing out, but it just doesn't matter. Ashe is not enough wave for Zach. Might be looking to make a play, recognizing he can't go in 2v4. Stony Brook taking what they can get, not getting mid lane tower, but they're just fine with what they got. Varus finally potentially getting his 3rd item on this next base, and this Varus is going to be doing so much damage. 280 carries, a fed Silas, about to get a Zanya's, 12 Magi stacks, a lot of potential on this team.
Redemption games for Tempest and Aeroliners. Both have 7 kills. Both have only died 3 times. Ashe Hawk to spout out some, but it's not going to spot out this play as Iwi is going low. Gets alive a little bit longer because of the ultimate from Maxander, and it's going to be step aside, bounced around, thrown back into the team, and he will drop. Aeroliners still has the ultimate and can look to extend this play a little bit longer, but he just has to run away. Stony Brook losing 3, a little bit over-aggressive, staying for too long, and it looks like the Dragon should be a nice setup play for Rochester to claim.
Silver lining here, Varus, they get the Terminus, which is doing so much damage. Singe popping the cleanse off of the spell book, slowed down by the Silas, not enough to get another pick, but RIT is super happy with what they've gotten. Only down 7,000 gold and 10 kills, but Singe with the Animus, with the Spirit Visage, will be tanking up this Silas, tanking up some of the Corki. The Varus mixed damage, which is super underrated, by the way, into this front line. Zach finally getting the Sunfire Cape online, and Aeroliners patrolling the jungle.
Yeah. Airliners just looking to deny any potential marks away from this Kindred. I was a little antsy on the Dragon call as there was still enough time away for Stony Brook to respawn and get back out onto the map. But this is going to be a big one because it's for Chemtech Soul if the Seawolves win it.
And Chemtech Soul, while not the most iconic soul, its effects aren't really that felt in-game. I mean, you get damage reduction and increased percent damage, but it doesn't really feel like it when you play it. But they're noticing the importance of it. All 5 members are grouped up on both sides. Zach trying to shove out the mid lane and get just enough time to jump in. The Dragon's being bursted down super fast.
It's already gone. Already gone for the Seawolves. They're up to 4 dragons. Like you said, not the most valuable soul to give over, but a soul nonetheless. Will mean that Elder Dragon is on the map a little bit earlier than you might have expected. Baron Nashor has also spawned, so that's the next objective.
Ashe could be caught out potentially by a flash key tonk, or not a flash key tonk, but a hook nonetheless. Able to make it a safety, shoving out this mid wave, using the soul to their advantage, forcing RIT to back off. Silas coming back from base with a finished Zanya's. It's about time.
Oh, Aeroliners might catch someone out right here. Gas is alive, and he's not going to be dropped. His Airliner's now in a bad position himself. He'll start bouncing around, but he's getting dropped low, low, low. Goes golden for a second, buying some time. Stinger onto 2. Stony Brook looking to turn around this fight. Maxander over the wall is going to have to regroup in a couple of seconds. Step aside going forward. He's going to be the big damage dealer right now. Here comes Maxander. Gets hooked. Maxander is going to look to go down already. Uses the Lamb Respite. Now Tempest just dueling him in that side of that ultimate. Maxander flashes over the Baron while in it looking to chase after him. Misses that initial Q, but Tempest is dominating, and he'll get another kill onto Spad. Stony Brook killing 2 and now looking for the Baron.
Ash struggling to catch his bot wave right now. Baron is very gone. Kindred just trying to secure the topside jungle. Maybe shove out that top wave. Sin just kind of just running it down mid in a positive way this time, I swear. But Kindred securing the topside jungle. Ash is struggling with these Nexus turrets, and the Super Minions have almost made contact with the tower. Ash by herself, no Runons, no nothing. Mortal Reminder on the way, I think. That could be a shield, but that could be a Bloodthirster. Probably a Bloodthirster.
Dylan, 709 for Init on the Heartsteel.
And that's a lot of health.
That, I mean, he is one big boy right now.
One big beefy boy, down 100 CS, doesn't matter. Even in items, Kindred struggling to secure this game.
I mean, effective gold value from that Heartsteel probably balances out the fact that he's down that CS. I mean, again, it's not even items because his team's so far ahead on objective gold.
Oh, for sure. This Skarner is one beefy boy. Ash is just not enough tank shred until the Lord Dominix comes online, or the Mortal Reminder. Not a lot of Grievous wounds either. Singed ult is a super important source. Ash with the Executioner's calling could be enough, but this Sylas is looking so unstoppable. Looking for a Void Staff or a Crypt Bloom. I'm going to imagine a Crypt Bloom due to how bursty these fights are.
Yeah.
The healing will be so impactful, but Void Staff does offer more pen if Airliner feels like that extra 10% pen is necessary.
Doesn't have any pen in his build right now outside the Sork shoes, obviously, so that is understandable. And, you know, the fact that Airliners relies about his flat AP ratios anyways, you know, just getting that extra damage, that extra bite can help out a lot. And looking towards this Corki is, I mean, we're getting into the very, very late stages of this game because I don't think it's going to go to 40 minutes. Big engage coming out. Airliners looking to just fire away from the backside, gets that Unbreakable Will and is going forward. The cow is being dropped lower and lower. He takes a long time to die, but will die nonetheless. Airliner still going forward. Unbreakable Will. Now he'll go golden. Waiting to see if that W can come back up. Healing for a little bit longer, but Bunnies will kill him in the end. Maxander trying to chase down onto Init. Tempest just barely staying alive, looking for one auto attack. Finds it, and Maxander will be dead. Stony Brook taking this series 2-1. They were pushed, but they were not broken, and they will remain undefeated. 9-0 in the regular season.
Looking like the Golden Road here, only dropping one game this entire regular season. Absolutely fantastic gameplay coming out from both sides, but I will say I'm so excited to interview Airliners after this game. Dominating performance game 3, clutching it out after a devastating game 2. I'm excited to hear what's going through his head right now, how he's going to feel about playoffs, and most importantly, how does he feel after that game?
Yeah. And with that, we will send it over to a quick break before coming back with Airliners to talk about that amazing Game 3 victory and just what an undefeated regular season means to him. Stick right here.
Stony Brook League of Legends Esports. I'm joined today by Aeroliner's absolute dominating performance on the Silas. A counter pick I wasn't expecting, but a counter pick that absolutely delivered. How are you feeling going from game 2 into game 3?
I'm feeling pretty good. Game three, we definitely performed much better than in game two. I was feeling a lot more comfortable on like the Silas pick than the Yone pick in game two.
I will say I was worried about the Singe matchup. Singe is a very one-trick heavy champion. You might not have had the most experience, but that Silas just shredded through him the entire time. Great ending to the season. Nice to see a great revenge game coming out from you. How are you feeling overall about your performance through the regular season now that it's over?
Feeling pretty good about it. I think I definitely could play like better than I currently am playing, but overall, I've done my job, and I think that's all I need.
And that's all you want from your top laner, someone who can just do the job, get the job done, able to deal with the enemy jungler coming through, ganking your lane multiple times. We've seen it so often in these series. The jungler just loves you so much. Biggest fan. But final question before sending you off. It's very late. I totally understand, but what's on your mind going into playoffs?
I'm just thinking that like we keep playing like how we are. We keep playing like good,